Caleb's been pretty quiet lately, focusing, dialing in. We thought maybe the Hollywood, persona thing that he's got going on was going to maybe subside a little bit. He was going to buckle down, keep his mouth shut, and learn. But there's footage everywhere today of Caleb Williams in a bar. And you could say he's having fun. If JD5 was doing this, Smitty, you'd be totally not, clowning on him. And maybe you're right. I'll admit, because JD5's done more to earn any sort of pass on any sort of thing that would make me feel uncomfortable about the outcome of the 2024 rookie season of JD5. JD5's looking like fire, by the way. I've got footage to play for you. This footage right here of JD5 throwing missiles, accurate missiles in practice, looking so amazing. But this guy Caleb's at a bar chanting, "Green Bay sucks, Green Bay sucks," doing all these different chants, looking like Hollywood Caleb. And these memes aren't going to be something you can take away. It's just one of those things that, look, when this happens, it always goes bad. When the player says, we're going to go hand it to that team right there the week before, it always ends bad. This isn't what you want if you're a Caleb Williams believer or a Chicago Bear fan. You don't want these receipts out there. Week 11's coming really quick. And the Green Bay Packers go into Chicago. And they're lucky they don't play the Green Bay Packers earlier than that, because you probably have a much bigger learning curve ahead. And at least Caleb will potentially be in somewhat of a groove, or potentially could be in Week 11. They're lucky. They're talking trash to a team they're going to see in Week 11. And it's going to get really interesting. So receipts being thrown out there. Jordan Love is going to have a phenomenal year. We'll talk about Jordan Love. And JD5 looking marvelous throwing the football in practice, the fantasy football show. And then we'll draft. Graveyard edition begins now.
Live from the FantasyFootballShow.com studios. It's the Fantasy Football Show. Live! Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. Smitty is also live whenever news breaks.
So, Caleb's at the bar. First of all, we hit 25K today. Put it on my Instagram. Put it on the YouTube Shorts. You can go watch that video of it counting. Hit 25K day, 25003 to be exact. When I screenshotted this. So, 25K. I just want to say thank you to everybody, and I couldn't have done it without you. I'd be nothing without you. I'd be talking to myself and not doing this if you weren't here. So without you, I don't exist, and that should make you feel good. And if I could ask you of one favor, if you say, Smitty, hey, it has been great having you live every day. I can rely upon you. This show, especially the Monday through Friday 8 p.m. show, you can rely on me. I'll be there for you Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern. There's no, I don't feel like going live today. I do that with the extra shows sometimes, like the Graveyard show right now. But if you could pay me back in any way, shape, or form, is just tell 2 or 3 people. Tomorrow, today, in the next 2 or 3 days, promise me, if you're watching right now, it doesn't have to be somebody you're competing with in a league. It could be a buddy at work that just loves the NFL. It could be somebody at a bar, you're picking up wings and they got a backwards Eagles hat on. And you just say, bro, can I tell you about a show? It will be your favorite show. You don't even have to like fantasy. It's all news. Do me a favor and tell 2 to 3 people in the next 2 or 3 days. Just remember that. 2 or 3 people, 2 or 3 days, and we will grow exponentially. And I promise you, the bigger I get, the more giveaways I have, the more opportunities I have to present you with better content, more shows, etc. This show's only gotten better. Answer this question. Oh, I'm afraid to tell anybody. It's my little secret. I don't want it to get big. As we've gotten bigger, has it not gotten better? Answer that question. Every day we've gotten bigger, we've gotten better. And I need you to tell everybody you can, even if it's outside of your leagues. Just do what you can to help your boy Smitty. Now, one guy not doing what he can to help himself is this Caleb Williams character, who's back to being kind of Hollywood right now, and this is what Bears fans feared. And even on my Instagram post, there's a Bear fan or two that said, look, as much as I'm a Bears fan, as much as I'm a Caleb fan, I don't like this. What's he doing? What's he doing putting a Green Bay sucks meme out there. You know, this is my writing on here. He was at this bar, this video clip of him chanting, Green Bay sucks, Green Bay sucks, Green Bay sucks, chanting all kinds of things. I'm sure he's saying, the Bears, the Bears. He's probably doing all kinds of different chants out there, but there's video footage surfacing everywhere, and he's being memed up like crazy. Meme City underway. And as I said, you never, ever see these things end good. And the fact that the Bears are a part of Hard Knocks this year is devastating all on its own for Bears fans because of the track record. It's like being on the Madden cover. So I don't know what to tell you other than Caleb appears to be eating up the spotlight once again, and it's not just one thing. It's like 4 or 5 things we're seeing lately, and he was very quiet and dialed in just not too long ago. And I actually for a moment thought to myself, maybe he's going to dial back all the Hollywood for a little bit, and maybe he starts getting focused and he grows up a lot in the next year. And I'm not saying this is crazy, and you can get mad at me all you want and say, Smitty, you're overreacting, this is crazy, I don't like this. But this is a player that I think is going to have a real problem dialing in and staying focused. This is a player that I believe is going to, and we got this question right here. Kenobi says, so he's basically going to be, going to be a really good player that everyone hates, says Kenobi. What was that other comment here? So why does he get criticized for everything he does? And I'm not saying it's not a good question, Kenobi. You know I appreciate you. Here's what I'll say. This is why I think it's important to have this conversation. Where's my Caleb, my JD5 commentary, where I have a list of things that players have said about JD5. Okay, let me put this on screen here. This is what Washington Commanders are saying about their quarterback versus what we're hearing, seeing, and witnessing with a guy that I believe is going to have a problem staying focused throughout his career, given his desire to be in the spotlight. This is about JD5. Okay, so let me put this away so people understand we're talking about JD5 right now. And I might even need to highlight the man's face so that everybody knows that that's who I'm referencing right here and not about Caleb Williams. So let's put this on screen and put this over JD5's face. This is about JD5 right now. Jonathan Allen, he always beats me here. I think that's pretty cool. He stays late. He does everything you want out of your number 2 overall pick. Zach Ertz, he really, really cares about this thing. He wants to be as good as he can possibly be. He's working his butt off. Marcus Mariota, I think he really moves well, throws the ball well. And for a young guy that's coming in, seems to be really in command of the offense, and I think that's important. Bobby Wagner, that's the thing you look for as a vet, somebody that wants it. He's definitely that guy. And this team is so behind him. And you keep hearing another quote from a few other people, Ertz and others, saying that they haven't seen anybody work this hard. And he beats everybody to the facility, and he stays longer than everybody. This man's dialed in. And I'm not saying Caleb doesn't dial himself in, and he has at times dialed in. I'm not saying he hasn't. You know, that he's just been out there partying it up or whatever. But and like I said, if JD5 was having a night off and saying, you know, whatever, some team sucks, some team sucks, whatever, I probably would give him somewhat of a pass. I'm biasly telling you that. But because he's earned it in my mind, Caleb has not. Caleb reminds me so much of a player that could go the route of, I don't know, Cam Newton off the field, Josh Rosen, Johnny Manziel. There's a lot of concerns, and I'm not saying he's Johnny Manziel. I'm not saying he doesn't have a desire or care like some of the quarterbacks that have failed, but there's a personality type here that worries the hell out of me. A guy that might not necessarily command a 50-plus men to go into war. This is a guy that cried in his mom's lap when he lost a big game, and his players were looking around for him so they could walk off the field together, and he's up in the stands in a fetal position, not crying like, you know, hey, we lost this game, you know, or hey, I lost the Super Bowl, I'm crying, or hey, I won the Super Bowl, I'm crying, or even when Ayuk cried after losing, in the Super Bowl. That's different. We're talking about you're looking for your quarterback, and he's in a fetal position in his mother's lap, and he's constantly got Hollywood, he's going viral. Everything's in the spotlight. He wants to be the center of attention, and JD5's not leaving the facility. JD5 is getting nothing but glowing reviews about how he won't leave. He'll show up early. And then this right here, which is just phenomenal footage of JD5 throwing absolute missiles into this net right here. Here it is. Just looking like an absolute warrior. Let me see if I might need to pause this. Hold on. So he's throwing these missiles straight into this net, and it's in the rain. It's pouring rain, and he continues to fire away these footballs straight into these square boxes, and everybody's just like enamored. You can hear people are like, "Wow, nice throw, nice throw," and he just keeps firing one after the other, over and over, straight in, not touching the perimeter of the net. It's just unbelievable. Like, everything this guy does is wowing the hell out of me. And I have such a vibe that JD5 is going to be a top 5, not top 10, not top 5 to 7, top 5 quarterback. This guy, in my mind, will be better than Lamar Jackson on every single level. On every single level by his, let's say, 3rd year. And by the end of his rookie year, I think everybody will start to also repeat that. And if you think I'm crazy, and you might, just remember how dumb I sounded when I said this was the number 1 quarterback in this draft class. Remember how dumb I sounded when people said he's too small, he's not going to be good at this next level, and how much everybody loves him consensus-wise across the industry, how much people believe he will be the best fantasy football quarterback of the quarterbacks. This guy's an absolute monster right now. He's just a hard-working machine. And this guy, I thought maybe he was turning the tide a little bit, and he still might. Maybe he's just he blown off some steam, whatever. But God, I don't want to see this. I don't want to see this. This is a recipe for disaster. And I just can't say enough how much this is what you want out of your quarterback. Not to mention, Jordan Love's going to clap back at this in Week 11. You think Jordan Love's going to tolerate this man saying Green Bay sucks, Green Bay sucks? Jordan Love's going to clap back. Jordan Love over Caleb all day long, and it's not even close. Maybe Caleb proves me wrong and gets to become some sort of solid quarterback at the National Football League level. Maybe he does. Maybe he's top 10. Maybe he's top 8, top 7, top 12. I don't know. I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying there's a big difference between a QB that makes it in the NFL, the leadership, the focus, the seriousness that it requires to command that position. This is not what you want out of your quarterback. You can say he's having fun, leave him alone. People always tell me, leave him alone, as if he needs your protection. No one cares about, no offense, but nobody cares about what you think. You think Caleb Williams cares that you're defending him? No one cares that you want me to leave him alone. My job is not to leave him alone. My job is to tell you who I think, for your sake, is going to be good and who's going to be bad. Who's going to be great, who's going to be pitiful and awful. Who's going to fall apart and who's going to rise like a phoenix. And that's my job. You don't like it, you don't have to watch. You don't have to be here. There's no attendance here. You don't like it, you don't have to be here. I'm here to tell you what I feel. This guy does not have the makings of an elite quarterback. Maybe a starting quarterback. Maybe. But an elite quarterback? No, he does not. This man has nothing on any of these other quarterbacks walking in. See you later. That was my daughter calling. I'm screaming, go to bed, go to bed. Smitty standing on business. Yes, sir. Let's see here. What do we have here? I'm sure there's some negative comments coming in here, and that's fine. I don't care. I'm not going to be mad at anybody that likes Caleb over JD5. But let's see how many people are grossly offended by all this conversation, because there's got to be somebody. I'm looking. JD5 is him. Fred knows what's up. Space knows what's up. Boone, I believe, knows what's up, if that's what Boone's talking about. Packers are going to beat the Bears twice now, says Timothy. He knows what's up. Travis says Fields about to be the starter in Pittsburgh. Travis knows what's up. I'm trying not to watch OTA hype videos, Smitty. Well, don't worry. The videos Caleb's providing you are Green Bay sucks chanting meme reference videos that you can use later and put in your pocket. So there's nothing there. Packers can simply respond with the infamous meme of Caleb crying in his mother's lap. Don't worry, I took care of that on Instagram. So go look at my most recent Instagram reel and you will see exactly that. Isn't Caleb known as a Packers fan? Says Hoovie. I've heard that. Crying wasn't after the game. It was during. Crying was after the game, not during. Everybody with eyeballs could see that Manziel was playing Bumblebee soccer. Okay, and everybody, I think, with eyeballs can see that Caleb Williams is not a leader of men. He is a player in college that did well. But he is, as Shopkey says, 2.0 Johnny Manziel. Don't say Rosen, ouch. Rosen, JD5 is breakout mold this year for rookie QB. Let me tell you something. You may not like to hear this. It's okay. I hear that every day. JD5 is going to have such a good rookie year. There will be people that uncomfortably mention his name for MVP. I'm not saying he'll be in even the top 3 or 4 discussion, but you'll have talking heads, right? Like Stephen A. Smith or somebody going on, a clip's going to get clipped and passed around all over. Understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying JD5 wins it. I'm not saying JD5 is actually a finalist for the NFL MVP. The NFL MVP, okay? I'm talking about NFL MVP. I'm not saying he's a finalist. I'm not saying he wins it, okay? We got that out of the way? Before you go, oh, Smitty said he's in. I'm not saying that. But there will be talking heads, probably me included, where there will be clips out there, people saying, I'm just going to say it. This guy should be considered as one of the leading candidates for the NFL MVP as a rookie. I'm just going to say it. Stephen A. Smith's going to say it. Everybody's going to go, oh, big. And it's not going to catch on. No one's going to make him NFL MVP. But he'll have that good of a rookie season because he's polished. He's ready. He fits the role. He fits the mold. He is the guy. He is the guy. And I got some super chats here. I said I'd always answer these right away. I'm sorry if I haven't hit them yet. I got Rock Out dropping 2 super chats. I've got E-Rock dropping a super watt on screen. And Young dropping the first super chat of the evening. Young says, Hard Knocks is going to be funny this year. Yeah, so that's the big problem, right? Hard Knocks. You don't want to be on Hard Knocks. That's like being on the Madden cover. So the Bears are on Hard Knocks. That will be interesting. Rock Out says, I've been MIA, but Rock Out is back. Rock Out, appreciate you being here. Good buddy, good pal. You're the man, the myth, the legend. Rock Out to the mother freaking moon. Rock Out's been here it's been a staple here. Just sitting almost in every single live stream. As far as I can remember back. Love will send Caleb Williams to a new dimension. I believe that's true. He'll send him to the Spider-Verse where maybe he's good there. 25K Smitty, you're the man. I don't even skip commercials so my man gets max revenues. Look at E-Rock. What a monster. Will the real Moon Man please stand up? Yes, sir.
Mashed potatoes.
Yeah, buddy.
That's my boy E-Rock coming through. Watching the commercials through and through. Look at him. Look at E-Rock doing work. Standing on Smitty's business. I love that. I think there's this one other piece of news that I was going to go over before we open the phone lines. I think it was maybe this one. DeAndre Swift, Matt Eberflus on the Bears conversation said Swift is a weapon back for the offense that, they like that he's, he could be used on all 3 downs. This is all good news if Swift is a viable, healthy, no tread, ripped off his tires and, injury risk waiting to happen. I guess it just depends on the ADP. You know, I'm not even out on Caleb saying Caleb can't produce fantasy numbers. I don't think Caleb's going to win. That's the big thing. Caleb, look, Fields produced fantasy numbers, and he got sent away for a 6th conditional round draft pick. So understand what I'm saying. I'm not saying Caleb doesn't have talent, but will he ever evolve? Will he ever be worthy of being a top 10 overall pick, let alone the number 1 overall pick? Will he be moved on? Will they move on 4 years from now in Chicago, 3 years from now in Chicago, like Fields was moved on from? That's what we're talking about. And so I'm not saying he can't linger for 4 years, 5 years in the NFL. I'm not saying he can't be like Baker, just be in the NFL for a very long time, but always kind of disappoint, never really, come through. That is what I believe. And Baker finally kind of did last year, but it was still to what end, right? That's how I feel about Caleb. The talent is there, but I don't know. He's not been tested against true competition. He hasn't delivered when he has been, and he's a walking, in my opinion, head case for a quarterback and what you want in your quarterback. JD5 is the spitting image, the mirror image of the elite talents in the National Football League, and JD5 is going to take the league by storm. Caleb is not. Caleb might have the weapons and to have a pretty good fantasy season, maybe lots of INTs, but good upside, big games, garbage time production. Maybe his wide receivers produce from a fantasy perspective because Fields did that, and Fields got moved on from. So it's certainly possible, but keep in mind all the moving parts. Caleb, what Caleb is going on here, how Caleb, carries himself, how the Chicago Bears mold him, because they fail at molding quarterbacks. There's lots of moving parts to Caleb having success. And Swift is just one of those guys that I love. Swift. You guys know I love Swift. He was a moon man last year, and he did pretty well for us. But, I feel like the Eagles abused the hell out of him. The kind of season that Swift had, especially given he's not a between the tackles full-time running back, and the Eagles used him the entire season that way. It's like putting your car in second gear and driving at 60 miles an hour on the freeway for a whole week. And then the next week you hand the car to somebody else, you sell it to them, you're like, hey, yeah, it's a great car. How long is this thing going to last? What happened to the damn engine? So I'm worried about that with Swift because he played 17 weeks at a full-time between the tackle running back, type of workload, and he's a 50-50 guys, 50% receptions, 50% rushing yards. So I'm just worried he's going to break. It doesn't matter. It doesn't mean I don't love him. Doesn't mean I don't think he's going to big pop-off runs. And maybe he's a guy we draft early on because they lean on the run to help keep Caleb comfortable. And then you trade him after 1 month. But it just comes down to ADP. So far, I haven't liked his ADP enough to draft him. It's not about hating Swift as much as liking 5, 6, 7 players every single time better than Swift when on the clock to draft Swift. When I'm on the clock capable of drafting Swift, I pick somebody else. That's the only thing I'm trying to say here. Phone lines are open. Let me make sure they're open, and then we'll start answering some calls, and then we'll get into a draft as we have this conversation of Caleb, as we have this conversation of Jordan Love, who's going to have a marvelous year. Where do we rank him? Where do we draft him? What do we expect out of Christian Watson and Jaden Reed? And those are the 2 top wide receivers in Green Bay. I know a lot of people are loving the idea of having the crafty Wicks or Dobbs. The guys that love, no offense to anybody, the guys that love Dobbs and Wicks more than Jaden Reed and Watson are typically the trash diggers, and there's nothing wrong with that, but you're going through the trash and you're trying to find that gem. And I get it, but you've got 2 elite studs right in front of you. They fixed Christian Watson's hamstring issues according to the reports, and I believe them because of the explanation. But you also have Jaden Reed, who's this Deebo Samuel-esque type player that will get you a minimum of 200 yards and maybe 200, 300 yards, 2 or 3 touchdowns on the ground. These are the premium guys. Doesn't mean you can't draft the other guys. Doesn't mean they're not fantastic wide receiver 6 and 7s. But when somebody goes out of their way to be like, I'm not drafting Christian Watson or I'm not drafting Jaden Reed, I'm just telling you, you're missing out on the meat and potatoes of the receiving production. The other guys are good fill-ins. They're good players. They're kind of like the best example would be like a Gabe Davis. Fourth, pass catching option on the Jacksonville Jaguars. Maybe someone like Wilson Jr. from Arizona. Maybe somebody like, trying to think of even another name that you could pull up that would be, those are the guys that you put on the end of your bench. Sure, there's nothing wrong with that. And not to mention, kind of like Ricky Pearsall and Debo, or Ricky Pearsall and Ayuk, fantastic cuff idea. If you believe Wicks or Debo to be, or Dobbs, Wicks or Dobbs to be that guy, if he gets the opportunity, he will thrive, because he's not going to get starter work. He's going to get whichever one that is, because they're going to rotate. Whichever one gets in there, they're going to get fed. Like, they're going to get fed. If Dobbs is your guy, if Wicks is your guy, cuff them to Watson. Protect yourself. If Watson goes down again, then one of the guys, if you get it right, problem is which one, is going to thrive. So they very much are like Pearsall. I would say Pearsall and Wicks and Dobbs, they're all right there in that same bucket anyway in terms of like value. But I'd take a chance on Pearsall personally. And not to mention, I still think there's a really strong shot that either Debo or Ayuk could get traded. One of the two gets traded because it just feels like the writing's on the wall. Pearsall's looking so phenomenal in practice. His routes are crispy. This guy's unbelievable. He's every bit as good as we talked about in the early offseason when we kicked around Pearsall, McConkey, and Leggett and Corley as the guys people were not looking at enough walking into the earlier part of the rookie evaluation process. So Pearsall's looking so crispy right now. I really believe that Debo, now that June 1 is passed, Debo's going to be potentially a player that teams call about. Ayuk is going to request a trade at some point if they don't get a deal done, because he's just fed up with it. He needs to get some movement going, and he's watching all these other players sign contracts. Debo, Ayuk, one of them could get shopped. Even though Ayuk might request the trade, Debo might be the one that's more attractive to trade, because what team wants to pay Brandon Ayuk $30 million a year, and what will probably need to be for him to sign a contract, $70+ million guaranteed? I don't know that there's many teams out there. The Steelers could be one of them. Ron's on the line right now. Ron, I don't know if you feel like the Steelers are going to get back into the mix for a wide receiver. It's certainly possible. The Steelers would be one of maybe 2 or 3 or 4 teams maximum that I can even think that would be considering trading either high draft capital for Debo or Ayuk. And there's only really 2 or 3 teams maximum that would pay Ayuk the money he's going to want, or he'll say, don't trade for me because I won't sign an extension, and the team will say, never mind. And the Pittsburgh Steelers don't feel like a team, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, that would want to sign him to $30 million. It'd have to be something like 25, 26, maybe 27, but he's not going to accept that unless there's some sort of crazy incentives. But you tell me what you're hearing in Pittsburgh. It's all over the place, but it's all speculation. There's no actual concrete facts or sources saying that the Steelers and the Niners are even talking. It's just people saying they believe that the Steelers will end up with one of them. But I've looked into it. There's no validity to any of it. It's speculation, but it's caught fire.
Yeah, there's I don't see it happening at this point, because the Steelers usually they don't wait around. They don't either they make it, or because you got to get them in there. You got to get them going. You got to get the reps in with the quarterbacks and make everybody feel comfortable and all that. And they're just running out of time, I feel. I don't think anything. I don't think the Steelers get either one.
Guys, jump into the underdog draft. We're gonna let's go into a weekly winners $10 contest right now. So jump in. Where's my phone here? Jump into the current weekly winner draft, and we'll all try and rush into the same draft. If you don't get in, don't fret. Just play one right alongside. I'd love to draft with you, but it doesn't mean that we have to be in the same draft. So hit that enter button, that green button. The link's been dropped in the live chat, so jump into that. What do you think about Caleb and the Green Bay sucks? It's going to come back to bite him, man. I can feel it. I can feel it. I don't know why he's doing that.
No, because he's an idiot. And I said even before when he was playing in college, I was like, the guy's not a leader. He only thinks about himself. He's not thinking about his team right now. He's making everything worse on his team. And he's doing everything that I thought he would do as far as negativity. I can't stand him.
Yeah. He's just not. I know people are going to say you're too hard on him. People tell me all the time, leave him alone, leave him alone. Like, first of all, like he needs any sort of like protection. Like, get out of here with that. No one cares. He doesn't care. He's not seeing it. No one's seeing what we're talking about with him. And you might say, oh, well, overall it adds up. Well, go talk to somebody that cares. Because I really don't care if you think I'm too hard on him. My job is to tell you if I think he'll work, if it'll work out, and if it won't work out. That's my job. There's nothing else. There's nothing else. We're in a weekly winners, guys. Go jump in. There's nothing else to discuss about it. Like I'm going to tell you if I think he's got what it takes to thrive at the National Football League level. He feels like he is more Johnny Manziel meets. I would just say like Johnny Manziel means Josh Rosen, but with a better maybe attitude and drive. But I don't anticipate that his personality type is going to command a team to become Super Bowl champions, playoff contending monsters. He just might be a good player with a good arm that makes a bunch of mistakes, that can't get focused, that doesn't have good habits from college because he's running around all over the place. People make excuses and say, well, it's his offense. He didn't have the help that a lot of other people had. Well, it doesn't matter. What I'm seeing is a man that holds onto the football too long, and he's walking into the NFL, and I think he maybe gets eaten up alive. He's never done well against good competition, and everybody keeps acting like he has. He hasn't. So, to me, like everything we're hearing about JD5 is just glowing. He looks fantastic. I got Travis on the line. Travis, go ahead real quick, and then I'm gonna put this draft up real quickly. Is it filling yet?
One more.
One more? Let me see. Okay, weekly winners. There it is.
One more.
All right, go to draft.
Caleb better have his mom at every game, so when he's taking all the sacks and he's getting beat up and he loses the game, he's gonna need to go jump in her lap and start crying.
Go look at my Instagram reel because I have him saying Green Bay sucks, and it says that's today, and then it says tomorrow in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and it shows him at his mom's lap, and then it cues the Darren Waller video.
I know. I saw it.
Oh, that Darren Waller video is bad. It's bad. That guy's hurting. I feel bad for him, but he needs to get to camp, and I don't think he's showing up. I think he's retiring, but he's going to regret it.
I think the Giants hope he retires.
Yeah. Point. That video's bad. It's awful.
Yeah. I was just gonna say with on the Caleb thing, if the Bears didn't have the first pick, JD5 would have been the number one pick in my opinion. But the Bears were never going to go after another quote unquote running quarterback or quarterback that runs because of the field thing, which is stupid because they're very different quarterbacks.
Mm-hmm.
JD5 and Fields.
Yeah, isn't it weird?
Caleb ran all the time though.
Yeah, but everybody thinks that Caleb's a better pocket passer, and they just don't know what they're talking about. I'm sorry if you think that, and I don't mean to offend you, but if you think that, you don't know what you're talking about. It's unfortunate that narrative's been painted, but or I should say, it is very fortunate because the Washington Commanders got the very best pocket passer in the draft class. And anybody is free to call in and debate that with me all you want. I'm sitting here, phone lines open.
Well,
so.
And the thing is with Chicago now, I'm sure they talked about it a little behind the scenes, but unless they're the most buttoned-up team in the world, you would have heard something about like, oh, maybe they could go for a JD5 or someone else or something. But there was never like even a sniff of a word that they were considering JD5. Like,
yeah, no,
from day one, from the drop, it was Caleb.
And they showed that clip.
That would worry me as a Bears fan.
Yeah, oh yeah, they don't make good. They don't draft the right player, and they're the only team that wasn't even Washington was wondering who,
no consideration.
Yeah, and even when they made the call, like, I've been holding it in for months, and he's like, who's this? Yeah. It's like just the weirdest conversation. Ryan Poles looks like everyone acts like he's this magician, but he looked like he was, in my opinion, Ryan Poles looked a little bit, what's the right word? I guess worried when he was drafting him. I don't know. I think that they're so scared to make the wrong decision. They went with what they appear to be the most bland, boring, safe decision by a lot of analysts. But guess what? Those analysts don't know what they're talking about. And there's just because they're analysts, just because somebody's an analyst or a scout or whatever, doesn't mean they know what they're doing. There's a whole NFL full of scouts and teams and players and coaches and fans and millions of people that didn't see Tom Brady. So let's not pretend that everything's so easy to see coming. But why people don't see the red flags with Caleb is beyond me. I don't understand. Let me answer these super chats real quickly. Let me get these super chats out real quick. JD5 will put the league on notice. He means business, says rock out. Garrett with the $5 holler says Caleb's schedule weeks 1 through 9 is very manageable. I think they will go minimum 6-3, but after that it will fall off a cliff. We can get value. You could also look at it this way, Garrett. If they don't have a great record coming out of that, then they're really in trouble. So sometimes it's and defenses are just sometimes so much different. I got Marvin Harrison Jr. I know it's weeklies. He drops a little bit in ADP, but I can't believe Marvin fell to 16. That's a lot furthest I've seen him fall even in a weekly winner. Rams wide receiver Demarcus Robinson could be a cuff to Cooper Kupp. Absolutely. Travis has loved him for a while. I like him a lot. He's a really, really decent player. I don't know what his future holds long term, but for another year, 2 years, he's got some good appeal. Bills just opened up about $12 million from the Trey White trade. Any chance at all that Bean moves things around for a receiver like Debo? Sure. Certainly possible. So I didn't even get to this yet. Of the potential places that I could see Debo or Ayuk going would be Washington, especially Ayuk, but will they want to pay him enough? Because of the ties between JD5 and Ayuk. The ASU ties, they're buddies, they're pals, they obviously know each other very well. To reunite them would be fantastic, and it would make Ayuk absolutely phenomenal from a dynasty perspective. And I think he goes up in value in Washington than in San Francisco, because you've got Ricky Pearsall there, you've got McCaffrey, you've got Kittle, you got Brock Purdy. Kind of what's he going to be like when all the people start, aging out and becoming a little less effective or injuries hit. And in Washington, McLaurin's an older guy. You give Ayuk, almost equal footing with him for a couple years, and they're like Nico. And I like Dotson, but Dotson would probably fall to the wayside a little bit. But you'd have Nico and Dell essentially with Ayuk and McLaurin for just a little bit, and then Ayuk would take over. So that would be a great place for Ayuk. Debo, same thing. Debo makes the most sense for Buffalo, though, because they're ready to win now. Not that Ayuk's not capable of helping them win now, but they're ready to win now, and he solves so many problems for them, and he's such a yak machine. To give them that potential running back via the form of a wide receiver would make them just completely unstoppable. I think Debo would be unbelievable in Buffalo. So Buffalo, Washington, maybe Pittsburgh, maybe Dallas if Jerry wakes up on the right side of the bed. And they do an extension for Dak, open up a bunch of money. They throw Parsons no bone this year, and they bring in they ink Lamb, and they do some trade for Debo. I can see it happening. Debo and his contract's kind of manageable. Ayuk's won't be, so it'll be tough. Although a lot of Ayuk's money will be up, won't be up front necessarily. So it's possible he could go to Dallas.
One place I'd love to see Debo in, but they won't do it, is Baltimore.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. That was the last one I was going to say is Baltimore. I can't really think of any other teams that make sense for for Ayuk or Debo, though, and that's the problem of you fill wide receiver rooms, with rookies, and then all of a sudden these players are not tradable anymore, and that's why you don't wait till after the draft. But I don't think the Patriots are a smart move, given that they're not ready. I guess Ayuk would kind of make some sense, but they're not going to spend $30 million a year, and Ayuk's going to command 28, 29, $30 million a year. I don't think he'll even take 28, so he's going to have a hard time getting traded.
I don't think the Patriots make a move like that until after the season. I think they're going to see what they have, see how Drake May's doing, and then if they go, okay, we need a number one wide receiver, then they go do it. But they filled that room with rookies and serviceable 2-3 wide receivers.
Tampa Bay would make sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Especially with Evans being the age that Evans is.
Wow,
isn't
Debo kind of shying towards a older age too, just with the mileage on him?
Yeah.
Depends on what McMillan does.
Yeah, but I guess with Debo, I'd just say the Green Bay Packers the Buffalo Bills are so ready right now. They didn't do what they should have done in the offseason. They should have got Henry. They should have got Jacobs. They should have got Barkley. And they just felt like they had and I'm a Buffalo Bill fan. My two teams are the Bills and the Cardinals. I was very disappointed in what they did, even though I love Keon Coleman and what Keon Coleman can do if they don't trade for an Ayuk or Debo. I think he's really going to be a star. But I just feel like they could have done so much and they didn't. It's so disappointing.
Yeah.
And the Cardinals go out and get Benson.
I was asking Ron.
Oh, go ahead.
Ron had said the Bucks. I was just asking Ron if he saw it.
Yeah, but I was thinking more of Ayuk. If I would not Debo, more Ayuk, because Ayuk's younger and he'd fit in there. That's what I meant by Evans getting older, and they need somebody that can take the top off the defense.
I agree with you.
I'm on the clock here real quick. Hold on, guys. Wow, ETN's still available here at 40 overall in the 4th round. As much as I want to go, kind of want to go like McBride here. Do you guys like McBride or ETN? 10 seconds.
I ain't telling you I'm in this draft.
Oh, you are, damn it. I'm gonna go ETN.
You better watch out who you talk about, because I'm right here listening.
I didn't even know you were in. I didn't even know you were in this draft in the 1 spot. Okay.
I'm in the number 1 spot.
Why you sound like you're talking from a submarine tonight, Ron? Sounds like you got you talking from a sub.
Does it?
Yeah.
Underwater.
Very muffled today.
Oh, that's not good. I got my earbuds in. That's why.
Oh, that might be it. Okay. So that's a pretty good weekly quad that I got there. Gibbs, Harrison Jr., Mahomes, and ETN. I wanted to go with. Yeah, I like the squad so far. It feels pretty strong.
ETN as your second running back too.
I know.
Makes you feel a lot better.
Yeah. E-Rock says, is D-Hop worth around 880p and Terry or Hollywood? I like Terry and Hollywood more than Hopkins. Ziggy, how old is DeAndre Hopkins? He's 30.
DeAndre Hopkins is 31 years old.
But when's he turn 32?
June 6, 1992.
Oh God, that's in a few days. In a few days he turns 32. Yeah. Oof, that's not good. So I'm just gonna move him to 3rd. I'm not saying that he can't be an outlier for a year, just for like 1 year. but like I'm gonna move him a 3rd here at least, and say that I like him, but I'm not like in love with the value. I would say JD5 is gonna make Scary Terry a star again. He's gonna make Scary Terry great again.
Finally.
Hollywood.
Finally get the quarterback.
Hollywood. I mean, Mahomes is gonna make Hollywood great again. Like this
if
is
Hollywood can stay healthy, he's going to be awesome.
So I mean, I guess if you're in a best ball, I love stacking Hollywood and Mahomes. If you're in a best ball, I love stacking Scary Terry and JD5. I don't really know what else to say other than like they're kind of like close, and I'd maybe rotate. And I've drafted Terry in one draft over Hollywood, and I've drafted Hollywood over Terry in another draft. But what I've not done is drafted Hopkins over either one of them. So I would say E-Rock, you're good to go with either one, just not Hopkins over those guys. Hopkins feels like a guy that you draft like significantly lower than those two.
Yeah, he was asking if it was worth an 8th round pick.
So Ron's stacking Kincaid and Allen together. I like that. McCaffrey, Nico, Hollywood. As we talk about Hollywood,
I'll tell you what.
Grabs him.
I'll tell you what. I was going to take McBride.
You know.
But I was like, no, you mentioned him, so I took Kincaid.
McBride would not have fallen to me though. I wouldn't have worried. But Ray G goes bully tight end a lot. He went 3 tight ends last time, and he blamed it on his Q. But he's definitely prone to going early tight end. But that's a squad right there, Ray G. Jamar Chase, Laporta, Jalen Hurts, Tank Dell, and McBride. I like it. It's a really good squad. I would maybe have explored RB instead of McBride though. But I like bully tight end. I don't know if I love bully tight end in weeklies though as much, because you can't. I mean, it could be your flex though. You know, McBride could be your flex, but I don't know. I'm not sure how I feel about bully tight end and bully quarterback in weeklies. I like doing bully quarterback with like a quarterback you're getting a little later, but I don't know about like doing too early bully. Like I wouldn't do Hurts and Mahomes or Josh Allen and Mahomes or Lamar and Mahomes, but maybe I draft my second quarterback a little higher because I want to have that rotation. The reason you would want to maybe kind of like slow roll the bully quarterback or bully tight end is because you don't want to be like, oh my God, I'm about to win 20K, and then Mahomes has a bad game. You're like, if I just had another early drafted quarterback, I could have smashed. Let's see here. I need a wide receiver and a running back. This is hard. This feels a little early, but I really like him this year, man. I just talked about him earlier tonight, Jaden Reed. There's a real shot that this kid produces like top 10 wide receiver numbers, top 12 wide receiver numbers. And as my second drafted, you what?
I almost took him too over
Hollywood.
Hollywood,
He's kind of a sneaky.
He's
kind of sneaky, like 5 to 6 turn guy. I don't know how much I love him at the beginning of 5, but like Ron, if you took him there, I probably would have said that's early, but I like it. Like as your 5th drafted player, you have to. Just like the 12 pick has to wait all the way down and back. You kind of have to take some stabs. Mm-hmm. So I wouldn't have called it crazy at all, but I absolutely feel like it's got little to no risk at the 5-6 turn. That's Reed could have he got 300 rushing yards.
I got a lot of Reed. I don't have hardly any Hollywood, so I'm trying to get some different blood.
Sebastian's got a balanced team finally. I think he when he drafts with me, he tries to balance it out more because he knows I'm going to get on him for drafting like 9 straight receivers. Breece Hall, Garrett Wilson, Lamar, Devontae Smith, Amari Cooper. Solid. It's a solid team. I don't mind that. You got some good balance. I don't hate that at all. Let's see here. Harrison, 1992. Well, Harrison doesn't like Marvin Harrison. When he was available at the 14 pick, he took Achane, who I would have taken if he didn't take Marvin. No, I would have taken Drake London probably, I guess. All right. Do I go Ron? I don't think he's going to fall to you because he's ranked like 3rd here. But do I go Worthy or do I go like a Burrow or I think I'll just go Worthy and stack here.
Worthy Mahomes.
Who's going to fall to me?
I don't think Worthy would have fallen.
Who do you mean?
Worthy. It's too late. Ron, we can't. Ron, we can't hear you in the phone booth. He's
wouldn't have taken.
This is what you sound like. Tell me how I sound. Right? Ready? I would have taken Worthy. Worthy's not very. Do I sound like Ron? Ron, talk. Ron, talk.
Yeah, sound like this right now, Ron.
Talk, Ron. Ron, talk.
Ron,
can you hear me?
Oh.
Ron? I don't think Ron can even hear me.
Ronald.
He hung up. He hung up. He's gonna recall in, or he got mad.
Better connection, Ron.
If you like to make a call, please
No,
hang up and try your call again.
Ron's gonna fix it. Ron fixes things.
Yeah, Ron's a fixer, or a breaker. He'll smash it.
Well, he might have punched a hole in the wall, and now he's gonna fix it.
Hello, Ron.
Fix that.
Ron, can you
Fix
hear
that,
me?
Jim.
Am I clear? Ron? Hello? Hello? Ron?
Oh, he called it. He called in, and I hit accept, and it didn't answer. Hold on, here he is. Let me try it again.
Uh-oh.
Hello, Ron?
He called in and
Ron, can you hear me?
No.
Oh, okay. Can someone turn down the show in the background? I can hear myself yelling. Thank you.
That was me.
Oh, okay. What I was trying to say, Ron, when you couldn't hear me at all, because you're muffling yourself out, I think, is do I go Worthy
No, I hung up.
or do I go another player? But you were too late in it anyway. But Worthy, I took Worthy to
I
stack
heard
Mahomes.
that. And I said I wasn't going to, even if Worthy would have fell to me, I wouldn't have probably taken him.
Really? Okay. Well, that's not very nice. Just kidding.
I'm not thinking I'm Worthy.
He's worthy of a pick for sure. Is D-Hop worth round 8? Oh, I already answered that one from D-Rock. Thank you, D-Rock, or E-Rock. I appreciate you. $2 super chat from Rag. Rag, appreciate you, my guy. I didn't see a message attached to it. I'll try and keep an eye out for your question. He did say best channel right after, so I'm sure he meant to attach that. Thank you, Rag. Appreciate you. Yeah, bully tight end interesting, says Great Scott. It is like I said, I haven't really decided if in weeklies I love the bully tight end or the bully quarterback, or I don't. I think it's good to do a poor man's version of it, but not a full-fledged, like double quarterback in the first 4 rounds or double tight end in the, like taking a McBride and a Kincaid. I think it just limits you to, you have one less weapon to fire off in each individual week because it's all about winning that week. But I think if you do a poor man's version of it, it's a smart idea. It just needs to be a truly poor man's version. Najee Harris, Jordan Addison, Hollywood Brown, Kincaid, Josh Allen, Nico, Christian McCaffrey. It's a pretty good team, Ron. Like when I look at a squad and I say, the teams that win it, you usually look at them and you're like, yeah, but you never look at it and go, usually you never look at it and go, oh my God, yeah, totally obvious. There's usually something where you're like, wow, like that's, there's that kind of wow factor. Like Addison could be that guy where you're like, you don't really think about it and you're like, oh, that helps you win it or whatever. Or Najee, or like that's definitely a good squad. Ray G with the Jamar Chase, Sam Laporta, Hurts, Tank Dell, McBride, Christian Watson, Zamir White. Look, Ray G, aside from drafting tight ends too early and drafting too many of them, I have given Ray G power of attorney to draft for me while I'm in a coma because he usually drafts Smitty teams. Like he'll just take my guys every time. I just need somebody to be like a safeguard and limit his ability to draft tight ends. Past that, I think we're good to go.
Am I still muffled?
No, a little bit. Talk, Ron?
Either I am or I'm not.
Yeah, a little bit muffled. Okay, this is a little early, but I'm drafting. I got Sebastian sitting there with 2 picks before it comes back to me, and this is the topic of the show tonight. Jaden Daniels. I'm gonna go a wee bit early. Take him he's the 3rd quarterback ranked though, but it is a wee bit early, and that's okay. Because I know Sebastian's gonna snag him. I almost went Jordan Love though, because he's also in the conversation here, but. I think Jaden Daniels, Mahomes could help me win weeklies. I think Jaden Daniels' ADP should be a lot higher in weeklies because he might have some ups and downs like any rookie quarterback could. And anyway, let me get Rockout as a Mars man. I've got a couple of you on the phone, but Rockout's dialing in and he gets to jump ahead of all of you. And, I need to remember for any of my Mars men and movement out there that when you guys call in, I'm shoving you right to the front of the line. There's no messing around. Rock out, you're live.
Yeah, I'm sick right now. I timed out on Allen.
You're sick that you what?
I'm sick right now. I timed out on Keenan Allen.
Oh, Doesn't that suck? Even if it's like an okay pick, it pisses me off. I hate not being able to decide. Yeah. But hey, your team. Let's look at your team. Rock out. You got Tyreek Hill. You're in the 4 spot. Tyreek Hill, Kyron Williams, Jacobs. Love that trio. Zay Flowers, McLaurin, Ramondre, Keenan Allen. I like it. It's a good team, bro. That's a really good team.
Yeah.
All right,
That's not going to kill you, Allen.
Yep.
The Bears. The Bears. Caleb needs to go to saying the Bears school. the Bears. All right, I have.
Where's my mama?
Where's? I have. Wow, what do I do here? I'm gonna roll. It's weeklies. Jonathan Brooks season. Jahmyr Gibbs, Travis Etienne, Jonathan Brooks. Love the trio. Marvin Harrison Jr., Jaden Reed, and Xavier Worthy with Mahomie. I like it. The Bears.
Wonder who's going to take Rashee Rice. Did you hear Rashee Rice is going to go to he's going to be at the White House? It makes sense, doesn't it?
Oh, they yeah. And they had to keep Butker away from the microphone. Did you hear all the memes today? Were like, there's memes of people like fighting and like, grabbing somebody and like pulling them down and holding them down, and it said like, "This is Butker trying to get to the microphone to talk to all the women." Oh, but Butker's, but you can't let Butker near the microphone. Joe Biden turned around. He was like, "Hey, Travis, no, not you, Butker. Butker, you're not allowed to talk." Oh, those memes are out of control.
Make up for my laugh.
What'd you get? You got Jackson Smith and Jigba. I like that. Smash.
Hoosier just pissed me off.
Who doesn't piss you off? DJ Speedy's in here. We haven't seen him in a while. Hoosiers picked Jalen Warren. He sniped you. Although in weeklies, I guess it's still nice though. But in weeklies, you don't necessarily need it. Oh man. There were people there that were saying Joe Biden's the first person to have CTE from just holding the helmet, or I think the Commanders will tease being team number 2 in the NFC East. Says Speed. I don't mind that. I think if the Commanders do make a trade for Debo, let's say, or Ayuk, they're the Houston Texans of this year. They don't even need to wait until next year. They're the Houston Texans of this year. Like, that means they make the playoffs. If they don't get anybody else, I still think they're a wild card contending team this year. And as I said at the beginning of the show, I'm not saying he'll be in even the final 3 or especially win the NFL MVP, but there will be talking heads that think they're going out on a limb, because they're saying it later, I'm saying it now, that people will go, he should be considered for NFL MVP, Jaden Daniels, as a rookie. And everyone's going, you're crazy, you can't have a rookie win. And there's just going to be a lot of drama around it. Kind of like Brock Purdy, when people would say it to make people mad, but Brock Purdy wasn't really in the running at the end. He was just in the conversations. That's where Jaden Daniels is going to be. He's going to be in the conversations.
I don't think he'll have quite the season that Stroud had last year.
I think he will.
It could be a little different because he's going to run more than Stroud does, but I think it's going to surprise people, the numbers he puts up. Just the fact that he's on the Commanders, I just don't.
I love the Commanders this year, Ron. I love them this year.
I think he'll have a really good season, but I just don't think he'll have the same type of season as Stroud.
Rodgers' tendon looked bad.
Not
Oh, hold on.
not his first year.
John's on the phone right now. Oh, John hung up. He hung up. No, he's here. John.
Oh.
John says right here. John, who tried to conceal himself as Bob earlier, and I figured it out a long time ago, but I let him know. I knew he was John. John says Rodgers' tendon looked bad. John, explain yourself. What about Rodgers' tendon looked bad? What are you talking about?
Well, he was nursing it a little bit.
Was he?
That's pretty much.
What was he? Who told you that? What made you think
Looked
that?
like it.
You looked like it, but did you investigate it, or did you saw one little clip and you just decided to spread a rumor in the chat right now?
Well, the guy asked why he fell so far, so I'm like, well.
Okay, but did you ever think
Was
that
nursing?
we've already figured this out? We've already addressed it. It's called Blistergate. He had a blister. He had a blister, and he sat down. It wasn't even his same leg, bro. And of course, I am worried about tearing that other. He's more likely to tear the other one than to re-injure. But that's already been discussed, bro. We've already tackled that. I'm only being passionately aggressive here because I want you to understand, like, this whole taking something and just drawing conclusions when you don't even know what's going on. It's going to lead you to not draft him. It's going to lead somebody else to read this in the chat and go, oh my God, maybe I don't take Garrett Wilson in tomorrow's draft. And then their wife calls him right now and says, Meatloaf's ready. Midnight Meatloaf's ready, Steve. And Steve walks away from the chat, doesn't get to hear me chastise you about it. And he read your comment that said Aaron Rodgers' Achilles look bad, and now he doesn't go draft Garrett Wilson tomorrow night. That's why I'm being hard on you. It was a blister.
I get that, but it's not that it looks bad. It's just like he was rubbing his Achilles, and usually you don't rub it unless like you jump up or down on it awkwardly, and you feel like a little like twitch, and then you walk it off, and it's good to go. It's not that it's like, oh well, he's SOL. He's not going to be able to do anything. Garrett Wilson's going to go back to being the usual Garrett Wilson. No, it's more of, it didn't look good on tape, and they haven't said anything. So
they did. It's already
they
been
get what the
concluded.
word caught.
It's a blister, John. It was Blistergate. It wasn't even the correct leg. So he was rubbing. What was he rubbing? And look, let me also tell you, if you did see him rubbing his Achilles, that is very common to massage your Achilles or your torn calf or your hamstring. You're going to do that for like a year or two, just to make sure you're really, getting that muscle. If it's a quad, let's say you have a quad tear, you're going to be rolling that thing with the kitchen, dough rolling thing. You're going to be making sure that thing is going to have even some soreness in it. Even if you tear your calf, like every time you tear in my calf, I have a pain in my calf that's scar tissue from tearing my calf. And sometimes I feel like I tore it again and I didn't. Part of me thinks I have the Christian Watson situation going on because I do have my left leg is slightly smaller than my right leg because of my ACL tear many, many years ago. And I've never rectified that. So it could be very much the reason why I keep tearing my calf. But anyway, you're looking at the wrong thing, bro. Like Aaron Rodgers is fine. And nor did you look into, because you just saw it and then you ran with it, John, that he actually had a full practice after and he was sprinting like full speed after some handoffs. So it's like he's good to go, bro. But you just...
Well, look, I didn't mean to poke the bear. I said the wrong thing, so I apologize.
John,
draft Aaron Rodgers. He'll be good to go.
Yeah, okay. I'm not mad at you, John. I'm just trying.
While I'm at,
Yeah.
what are your thoughts on Myers now that Adams is like the dinosaur age and he's been putting up better numbers year in and year out?
I just don't think there's a good enough quarterback situation in LV to really warrant any sort of like starting material value for him. But like, is he a good bench guy? Sure. I mean, he's okay, but is he any different than? Yeah, is he a wide receiver like 5, 6, 7? Sure, I guess. Damn, I gotta do a little bit of a little reachy poo here, just because I know you guys are gonna take him. He's not that far down, but I got to cuff him to JD5. I love what I got going on here because I have the Mahomes. Hold on one second, John. 1 second. Whoever has got the echo going on. I've got Mahomes and Worthy cuffed. I've got Jaden Daniels and Jahan Dotson cuffed. So I really like that. I'm sorry. Go ahead, John. John, would you ask me? Oh, yeah, Jacoby. Yeah, he's okay. He's okay.
Yes.
MBT just subscribe to the Patreon. Thank you, pal. Appreciate you. I'll see you on there. John, you got anything else?
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Adonai Mitchell and Dobbs? And out of those three players, who would you take?
A.D. Mitchell, and I just did take A.D. Mitchell over Dobbs. I took A.D. Mitchell in the 10th round here, and I love it in weeklies. I think it's fantastic in weeklies because I don't necessarily like this team may or may not fire off, in week 1, may not fire off in week 2. Maybe Jaden Daniels, I'm wrong, and he takes him till week 4 to really look like the part. Maybe does or doesn't. Maybe Jonathan Brooks, who I took, takes half a season to get going. So this team does have a lot of like firepower. I think more downstream. But this is weekly, so it has nothing to do with any one week has nothing to do with the other, which is why I love this contest so much. All right, hang tight real quick there, John. John, mute yourself if you could, and I appreciate you. I'm sorry if I yelled at you. And rock out. Hold on 1 second. I'll come back to you. Oh, no. We had the guy hang up. I had somebody on hold, but they just hung up. Rock out. What else you got?
I also think Dennis could have a big come out season.
Who?
Senate.
Yeah, I love him.
Senate.
I love him.
Smitty, keep an eye out for a new caller. They got Lucas wanted to call in and talk about Caleb.
Okay.
He likes Caleb, and I told him call in and let his side be heard.
Okay, Lucas, is this Lucas? Lucas, where are you calling from, Lucas?
Yeah, I'm calling from South Carolina.
South Carolina. What's up, my guy? Talk to me.
I disagree heavily about the Caleb Williams. I've followed you for a long time, so I just think your opinion on Caleb Williams is kind of weird. Just like the hate towards him.
Is it weird?
I think it's all based around off the field stuff, and even on the field, you might say his mental game. But I think mentally, he's the strongest quarterback in class. Physically, he obviously is.
He obviously is, huh? He doesn't beat JD5 on any level, bro. From a statistical standpoint, JD5 had 1,100 rushing yards and 10 rushing touchdowns. He had 3,800 passing yards, 40 passing touchdowns. 35 of those 40 passing touchdowns were from the pocket. He's a much better pocket passer than Caleb, proven by stats and data. He's the best. He's got the best completion percentage inside the pocket of any quarterback in the last decade in college football. So, unfortunately,
than a stronger defensive league.
I think using stats when talking about a prospect is just pretty poor. I mean, you're just not. That's not how anyone in the league is assessing a quarterback. I mean,
really?
Use them.
Caleb could have played 6 games in college, and I think he would still be obviously the best quarterback.
Okay.
I don't think you need to have to be the leading rusher, to be the leading passer.
I mean, explain it. Explain why. Explain why you think Caleb's so good. Because you have a whole phone line of people here, and people disagree with me all the time. Ron disagrees with me all the time. Don't think there's a bunch of yes men on the phone here. You've got a full phone line of people that none of them believe in Caleb Williams, and you think that we're all ridiculous because we don't obviously see that he's the best quarterback in the draft class. He's not even the 3rd best quarterback in the draft class. I've said that over and over.
I don't think JD5 is the top 3 in the draft class. I think JD5 is. I think it's behind Penix and May, but
unfortunately for you, you're going to have a very disappointing season. For not passing on.
He had one good year in LSU with an insanely stacked team. Arizona State, he just wasn't good at all. He wasn't here to make an argument he was slightly good. He was pretty poor in Arizona State.
He was still developing. It doesn't matter that he didn't have multiple.
Yeah, but in LSU, he played in the tougher defensive the SEC. You can't get any tougher than the SEC or Big Ten. Pac-12 is Pac-12 is so not defensive.
I mean,
They suck. And here's another thing for you. Is who's the last quarterback that Chicago's been able to develop at all? What gives you so much faith in Caleb when Chicago can't develop a quarterback? They're like the Steelers. They can't develop a quarterback. That's why they have to go get veterans, because they can't develop a quarterback. So I don't get your whole thought on this whole thing.
I don't think that's a real argument. Saying
why?
Bears don't look good. How is it not a real argument?
Why wouldn't it be? Why would it be an argument?
A real argument. Thinking that you can put Caleb up there, that's not an argument. That's not a real argument.
Bro, all right,
hold on. I can say the same thing to you. It's not a real argument. Your argument doesn't make no sense.
Lucas,
your argument makes no sense.
Hold on one second. I'm going to let Lucas have a chance.
It's not a real argument.
Lucas, I'm going to let you have a chance.
It's not a real argument, Lucas.
All right, hold on a second. So we can't.
Everything coming out of your mouth isn't a real argument, Lucas.
One at a time.
Lucas, you really have presented zero stance. You're saying that our arguments don't hold water when I'm giving you statistics. I think you even said something correct. Lucas, hold on. Lucas, hold on. Lucas, no one can hear you talking anyway. Okay, it's like you're very quiet. No one can hear you. So just hold on a second. I'll let you have the floor so that people can hear you. But you've literally, I believe you said. Correct me if I'm wrong. I believe you said that the statistics that I gave you wasn't an. I think you even said that wasn't even an argument. The statistics aren't an argument.
I was talking about rushing, but
what?
I mean, the Bears didn't get rid of Justin Fields to get a new Justin Fields. They're going.
Because they have the track record to prove that, right?
Andrew Luck.
The Bears are on top of this. The Bears are absolute. They wouldn't have done this if they didn't think it was good. Lucas, the Bears have done nothing to prove that they are the ones you trust. It's like asking an impaired man, are you good to drive? Yeah, I think so. You're asking the Bears to make the assessment? The Bears wouldn't have got rid of Fields if they... What are you talking about?
Could you not make that argument for Ohio State like the past ever until C.J. Stroud, that they couldn't have good quarterbacks until Stroud came out of the draft?
Look, you're asking the wrong person, because I go to bat on that topic and say, I don't care what system they play in. I don't care what team they come from. Every player standalone, case by case, needs to be looked at. Joe Burrow, we heard the same thing. We played at LSU. How's that working out? Joe Burrow is a pretty damn good quarterback. You have to look at everything case by case, my guy. And Caleb Williams is not the better... Huh?
I agree with that.
Caleb is not a better passer on any provable level, except for maybe in your eyeballs, because you believe...
If you really...
You really what?
If you really want really good... Because there's an article on The Ringer about every single prospect quarterback, their accuracy, everything from...
Bro, I don't care. I don't care about what you read on some other play. I'm telling you what I know. I'm telling you what I analyze. I'm telling you what I put out there. And I'm telling you that the statistics are in favor. Whatever you think you read, the statistics are not in favor of Caleb. They're in favor of JD5, who's the best pocket passer to come out of college in the last decade. But you're not going to believe that because you don't believe stats. You believe
let me read this.
I don't need you to read it. I don't need you to read it. I don't need you to read it. I don't need you to read it.
Because it's true.
No, it's not true.
JD5 is 67% completion. Caleb Williams is 73% completion in the pocket.
Bro. Jaden Daniels is the best. He has 67% completion percentage on 20-plus yard passes, which is number one in the last 10 years in FBS history. He had 11 touchdowns and 0 INTs in the pocket in his last 3 games. He had 4 INTs on the season. He had 1,134 rushing yards and 10 touchdowns, all while still throwing for 40 touchdown passes, making him have a whopping 50 total touchdowns and 4 INTs. Best QB in the pocket in 2023 in FBS with 35 touchdown passes and yards per attempt, 11.5, which was also first in the FBS in the pocket. You don't have the stats. You think you do because you're reading some little article, but I'm telling you what the data is.
The article isn't some like subjective thing. It's just an article that's filled with stats.
I don't care about the article. I don't care about the article.
The best from 10 to 20, from 20 to 30, from 30 to 40 and beyond. Every single yard. He's also the best in the pocket, the best out of the pocket. And
I just told you he's not. I just told you he's not. I just told you he's not.
Over there.
I just told you he's not. I don't care what you're reading. I just told you he's not.
He is. I mean,
no, he's not.
Name me top 10 defensive teams in the Pac-12. There's only one. Name it.
I don't care if the Pac-12 is worse like that. Obviously, the Pac-12 is the worst conference.
Oh well, okay. So it doesn't matter defense, huh? So somebody can go throw a lot of yardage against those sorry ass defenses over there in the Pac-12, and that doesn't mean anything, huh? But he couldn't do the same thing in the SEC or the Big Ten, guaranteed.
I would disagree with that. I mean, he's a Heisman winner. I don't think you can just say this Heisman winner would automatically just now.
Bro, he did bad again.
JD5 is a Heisman winner.
Jaden Daniels, SEC.
Boom! Boom goes the dynamite.
SEC,
The Bears.
Jaden Daniels.
The Bears.
You have no legs to stand on, Lucas.
Yeah,
you have no legs to stand on.
Lucas, you've made zero arguments that have been solid.
I've made the strongest arguments. You're saying these stats are worthless.
You haven't made any arguments. All you said is, I don't agree with that. I don't agree with that. There's no argument.
Caleb Williams, pinpoint accuracy.
Finish him.
Pinpoint accuracy.
Call terminated.
This guy. I'm almost. It's like talking to a brick wall. It's like talking to a brick wall. He has no point whatsoever, and he just told me stats don't. Remember when I believe
I make an argument.
I believe when I said all the things that I started saying, he's like, those aren't things, arguments, or something like that.
He can't make no argument. He doesn't know how to make an argument. He comes in with blanks.
Yeah.
He doesn't even come in with any bullets in his gun. He just blanks.
It was a lot of blanks.
His biggest argument is, I don't believe it. I don't believe it.
I don't. Too good of a team. He didn't have anything to do with making that team good. He was on too good of a team. There's no way that his team is that good. I don't like it.
Oh, no, he's in the chat.
That's
Every single stat is Caleb.
Damn it, I timed out. Who'd I get? J.K. Dobbins, no!
Oh, man.
Ah! I timed out.
Hey, all right. You got the nice knees there, don't you?
Dang.
Hey, you never know. Maybe he'll win you weekly.
I got Lucased. Damn it.
Even if Caleb did have him beat in one category, JD5 plays in the SEC.
Look, guys,
exactly.
there's just nothing to even like. There's nothing to even debate. You don't have four INTs against this competition, and not to mention, like, even if we were to throw out everything, like he keeps saying it's weird. It's so funny when people use that terminology specifically when they go, "It's really weird how much you don't like Caleb Williams. It's really weird." Those are the people that are like so bent out of shape about it because they're Bears fans or they're huge Caleb fans. They like try and throw a dig my way that'll make me feel something that I don't feel and I don't care. It's that's really the weird thing. The weird thing is that you are so upset about me continuously telling you that Caleb's gonna fail that it makes you so pissed off inside that you're going to go against all the other players that I'm talking about. Like to say that he didn't think Jaden Daniels, what do you say? Wasn't even in his top 3.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Didn't he call Caleb a Heisman winner too?
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Okay. Damn it. I got to recover from the stupid J.K. Dobbins pick.
You're blaming on me because I told him to call in, so that's
yeah. I do blame you. I do blame you, Travis.
Curious to see if anyone else had could actually come up with an argument.
Take a lap. Take a lap, Travis.
Damn it, Travis. Damn you, Travis.
Half take one.
Take a lap.
Hey, good content.
I'm gonna time out again because I'm just thrown off like with my. I queued somebody though. I queued somebody and I took his really early, but I queued Kraft it because I needed him and Luke Musgrave together. But damn it, I'll figure out how to get back on track with this. I think with weeklies maybe I take a gamble and grab another RB. How's my running back room look? Who do I have again? I've got. Let me go to the top of here and figure it out. I got Gibbs, ETN, Jonathan Brooks, and Zach Charbonnet and JK. Because Charbonnet, Brooks, and JK are all like kind of you don't know what you're getting right away or whatever, I might need to draft 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's 5 RBs though. I can't go anymore. My wide receiver room is pretty steady though. I don't know. We'll see what I do. Maybe I don't grab a third quarterback, which I usually do. But timing out on JK, I might not be able to. Yeah, I don't know what it is about the hatred for JD5. I think it, really when you run into somebody that doesn't see the value, especially from fantasy, like if you're just like a Bears or a Caleb fan, whatever, but like when you start talking about fantasy football with a guy that scored 50 touchdowns last year and a quarterback that, like, even if we let's say he the arguments that were being made, very bad arguments. I feel like it's one of those things that like you still have the ability to discuss the off the field, like in mental state of this kid. Like even if he had all the physical tools, like even if he called in and he said, "Hey, I like this kid. I think he's got the physical tools. I don't know that I like him more than JD5, but I like his situation a little bit more," which I can understand. I can totally understand if that's the case, but we're making a strong argument that Caleb Williams is not the leader that everybody wants him to be. Like his off the field behaviors, how he acts, how his team views him, how the Chicago Bears viewed him before they even met him. How the defense, a couple players, not just one, made comments like you can't bring the Hollywood into the locker room. The NFL is going to eat you alive. There's major concerns about it anyway. This is the website with all the... Nope, that's for you, Lucas. You can't drop website links and start referencing other places. So there you go, Lucas. Unfortunately for you, that was your good night. All right, we're coming back. Let me send you guys somewhere else. Hold on. Everybody in the chat, attention. Let me tell you where you can go to get other content, and so you don't have to listen to Smitty.
Alert.
No. Sorry.
Smitty.
Yes, who's this?
Wrong play.
Who is this?
Sebastian.
Oh, what's up, Sebastian? I didn't know
That
you were there.
one slot.
I forgot you're there.
That
What's
one
up?
slot has a lot of your guys, but they went a little early, bro. I can't lie.
The one slot?
Yeah, there's a lot of reaching.
That's Ron Navy.
Ooh, reaching around.
He's on the line.
A lot of reaching on who? Who did I reach on?
Did he reach around?
See.
A couple times?
See,
Who did I reach on? You don't even. You come in here and you make an accusation like that, Sebastian. You don't even have it on top of your head. What the heck?
No, it's.
What's wrong with you?
Is this Lucas?
Right now.
Now you got to check through and all that. Come on. When you come in here and you say I've been reaching, you better know who I've been reaching for.
Fields, Najee.
Huh? Fields
Najee.
on a 14, number 14. Najee round 7. That's not a reach.
Well, hey, Sebastian. In fairness,
Come on.
even if Ron was going like let's say 7 to 10 picks, it is hard from that one spot. You got to go all the way down and back, just like from the 12, and even kind of from your 10 spot, like you got to go all the way down and back. There's a little bit of reach, and we're also in Snipe City, like you know what I mean. Like Najee looks more attractive in the 7th round because all of you guys, my people, are taking every sleeper early.
I think I took some players that Sebastian wanted and he's mad.
Maybe. Sebastian, is that true?
I mean, not really. No.
Well,
I don't like Addison.
The thing is, too, though, like
which team is yours, Sebastian?
The ADP. Field ADP is like in the 200s or something, right? But
hold on, one at a time. One at a time. Let's go to Travis because I keep hearing Travis trying to say something.
I was just gonna say I don't know what it is in weekly, but like Fields' ADP in other drafts is like 205. But like once you get to around 14 or 15, you know, it's like what does it matter?
You take who you like.
20 spots. Yeah.
Ron, you still sound like
you
still sound like you're calling from the fax machine, Ron. It's like really.
It does.
I don't know what it is. Did you like do something to your phone? Did you drop it? Did it go in water? Like did something happen?
No, I didn't drop it. I'm
genuinely asking. I'm not like making fun of it. I'm just curious if like you're like, oh heck yeah, actually it did get in the rain earlier or something like that. I don't know. You guys like Jalen Hyatt?
I like Wendell Robinson.
I think Hyatt's interesting.
He's
I
making
think they're gonna give him a shot.
He's making some one-handed catches and looking good, and I kind of like Hyatt. Ron hung up again.
He was a good prospect, though. He was a good prospect.
Hey, Ron, are you coming in any clearer, Ron?
Just a rookie last year.
I've used these earbuds, and nobody else has complained several times.
There you go.
Only you.
You're clear as can be.
Yeah.
Well, it's not me. It's not me complaining. You were like 100%. It was like an actual thing.
I don't know what was going on with it.
Replay the show back later, and you'll hear it. You'll be like, "Damn, I don't know what's going on."
Yeah, I don't know what's going on with them though, because they've been working fine up to that point.
But I want you to hear it back though, so you can like later on be like, "Damn, I didn't realize it was coming in like that." But now you sound fine. I like Hyatt, guys. I think Hyatt got kind of undervalued. The only problem is like what's changed. Like there's still no quarterback.
He's a really good prospect.
Nabers is there now. I think with Nabers there, you know, things just come up a little bit.
Taking a Lucas.
Yeah. Okay. So we got Bob. John, you got anything else, John? AKA Bob. What else you got, pal?
I just Nabers probably finishes a top 10 wide receiver. That's all I got.
Okay, well, speak to it because I'm not gonna go crazy on this one, but I will say that I'm fearful that he's got to do it all in yardage and receptions, which is technically possible. Like he could have like let's say 5 or 6 touchdowns, massive wide receivers or receptions and receiving yards. And just, you know, kind of be like the understated, like, wow, he finished top 10. That's crazy. I didn't think of that. I didn't think he did. But I don't think he can, like, obviously finish. Like, he won't be this obvious choice that, like, you know, clear as day was top. Kind of like when you say, what was that one? Sebastian, what was that player the other day that you were completely baffled that I told you he did as well as he did? Who was that? Mixon. Mixon was like running back 4. And Sebastian, Sebastian was like, "Holy, really?" Like I think that's what you're gonna feel about Nabers because I don't think there's a way he can get like 10, 12 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns. MHJ could get like 12 to 15. But talk to it. Tell us why this quarterback situation doesn't work.
It's not like they have nobody. I mean, Waller's. I know he's not even
making
there,
music.
They have Singletary. They have.
He's making music right now.
They have Hyatt. And usually when you have like a wide receiver and a tight end, or at least 2 wide receivers, and not 3 like in Houston or in other places this year, you could say Washington has 3 stars. Those guys tend to show up. He's the only person there. It's him and the other dude. That's why Myers and Devontae, they put up numbers last year.
So
that's why.
Yeah, I mean, but Myers and Devontae, they're not like rookies. You know what I mean? Like he's got to learn the game and learn it from a crappy quarterback. Not to mention, we don't know if Danny Dimes will be ready for Week 1. They keep saying he will be, but there's a real good shot he's rushing back, and so he might have like a carousel of quarterbacks all year long. The offense is going to be garbage. Not to mention they won't live in the red zone like other teams, so like his touchdown opportunities will all be on like breakaway scorers or where the defender falls down. If we look at the 2023 stats for wide receivers, let me click on this real quick. Hold on. Season 2023 stats. Hold on.
I mean, compared to Marvin Harrison, he does have a lot of forced missed tackles. Marvin Harrison had like less than 8, and Nabers had like over 30.
Yeah, that can lead to injury too, though.
They're also a little bit different receiver.
There's pluses and minuses. Yeah. A yak receiver versus
like you're talking about a guy that caught the ball a lot over the middle and like ran a lot of routes that would give you break tackles. Marvin Harrison Jr. was catching like untouched touchdown runs and such. I get what you're saying, but it's hard to argue that's okay. Devontae Adams was 10 last year, wide receiver 10. He had 11, 44, and 8 touchdowns on 103 receptions. You look at even
that's Nabers' ceiling,
and you even look at wide receiver 14, 7 touchdowns, 13, 42, and 75 receptions. That's Brandon Ayuk. I don't think Nabers gets that stat line. 75 receptions, maybe even 80. I mean, let's say, but 13, 42. I don't think he gets that yardage either because he's not going to have better.
He can't.
Yeah, it's going to be his yak yards will be lower. His yards per catch will be lower. It's not like he's going to dominate defenders.
To come from touchdowns.
So if he has, let's say, like what can he have? Wide receiver 17 numbers maybe, which is like there's 2 different versions of stats you could have at this range. You could have Olave had 87 receptions, high number of receptions, 1123 receiving yards. I think that mirrors the struggle that Nabers will have yardage per catch wise because you had bad placement of the football. You're constantly being double teamed and defenses are focusing on you, right? Like they will Nabers. So Olave's having that 87 receptions, but only getting 1123 and 5 touchdowns. That's wide receiver 16. I feel like that's where his ceiling is. I don't think there's any way he's in my top 10. And that's why I think it's crazy when people take him in like the second or even still third round. I think it's absolutely not a waste, but it's a huge risk. Where do you go in this draft?
I asked the chat what they thought Nabers would get, and it's kind of all over the place. People have very different opinions.
In Jamar Chase's rookie year, he was going later than what Nabers is going right now too, wasn't he?
Yeah, but that evolved. The wide receiver evolved very, very much. Over that amount of time, like the Jamar Chase year, people were not expecting rookie wide receivers to, like that happened quickly. That transition happened quickly. But now you're fully expected. Jamar Chase kind of broke the mold for that. He was kind of the patient zero for that kind of expectation. And the college game is changing every year, and it's getting more and more, parallel with the NFL in some ways. I got some super chats here real quick, and then I'll come back to you guys for that topic. Cobol says, I love seeing Caleb try to preemptively get the better of my Packers. Love will be tearing Caleb up his whole Bears career. Lions will be trashed too, says Cobol. Cobol dropping a $5 holler. Appreciate you, Cobol, always being here day and night, pal. Appreciate you. Golf for life. Appreciate him. This guy is as loyal as it gets. Golf for life. Amazing person. Amazing follower. Howell got sacked first in the league this year. So did Washington get a better O-line for this upcoming year? Hope you all are doing good. It's a good question, but you also have a more elusive quarterback. Yes, I believe they're fixing a lot of that. Not to mention you look at Adam Peters and what he's putting in place from coaching to personnel to draft pick decision-making to scouting. Adam Peters is the guy for the job. Not to mention you have, in my opinion, the right staff involved that's going to, turn this thing into an absolute, Cliff Kingsbury is such a good coordinator. He struggled a little bit as a head coach. I still think he could, become a good head coach in the NFL if he, has a good run here and he learned some things. But he was good in Arizona for a period of time. I was not one of the people that was like, let's get him out of here. I was one of the people that was kind of on the fence with it, but I didn't necessarily want him gone. I very much remember when the Cardinals were the best team in the National Football League for half of a year. We were, I believe, 8-0. We were the only undefeated team in the National Football. And then everybody started getting hurt, and it kind of fell apart. But Kingsbury was very well loved and thought of in Arizona, and I remember that. I didn't just forget that because he had his team falling apart. Yeah, it was kind of a bad shake. I love Kingsbury, and his look. I'm not saying that Howell didn't do well and air it out a little bit, but Kingsbury's going to be stretching the defense, and the moment you do this, and I don't know if you guys remember on my Instagram, I put it up when I had Coach Hugh Jackson on, former Browns coach, and he on my own show just belittled all of my Jamar Chase predictions and all that. I put it on my Instagram as a funny memory. But he just he was laughing. No, we're not on the same page. No. It's a tall order for the Bengals to win their division, or he didn't even say that, to even be more than third in their conference. And I'm like, Coach, I think drafting Jamar Chase is going to stretch the field and have an impact that people aren't understanding is similar to drafting Sewell. Drafting Sewell or drafting Jamar Chase, as hard as it is, even for Coach Hugh Jackson to understand, or as hard as it is for anybody else to understand, the concept of Chase on the field makes the offensive line block better. Chase on the field stretches the defense out. Chase on the field has less men rushing the quarterback, less stacked boxes, and therefore you have more efficiency on the offensive line. It's as simple as him stretching the field, pulling the defense back. It's that simple. The same thing with Kurt Warner. Kurt Warner coming to the Arizona Cardinals with his quick release and the air attack, the offensive structure, the build of the offense, made the Cardinals' offensive line production skyrocket, even though they didn't really get all that much better. They were a good offensive line all of a sudden when they were a horrible offensive line without Kurt Warner. Very much the peripheral pieces can improve the offensive line. So you put, my whole reason I'm circling back is, first of all, Hugh Jackson got his ass handed to him after that, because not only did JD5 get drafted by the Bengals like I predicted, not only did the Bengals absolutely address the offensive line still, even though they made some questionable picks during that draft, and I was like, oh my God, they passed on some very obvious second-round offensive linemen, and I'm like, oh, what are you doing? They fixed things. Even though Joe Burrow's got injured, you could say that all until you're blue in the face. He could have got injured with Sewell, but they made it. Not only did they win their division, and I told Hugh Jackson that they were going to be a team to be reckoned with, they went to the Super Bowl that year, right out of the jump. So I smashed that whole thing to pieces. And not to mention, he said, I think you're going to see some quarterbacks that you didn't mention be better than Joe Burrow. And I'm like, who? And he's like, Baker Mayfield. Joe Burrow went to the Super Bowl.
Baker.
Yeah, so anyways, it's on my Instagram. It's really funny. Hugh Jackson, nice guy, but I mean, he thought he knew everything. He thought he was taking me to the cleaners in that interview. Not to mention, he's very argumentative with everything I said. But anyway, it's on my Instagram. But my whole point in talking about this was that JD5 getting Kingsbury and the Commanders getting Kingsbury, the Commanders getting Adam Peters, will improve the offensive line even before they actually address a single position and upgrade anything, because of the coaching, because of the offensive structure, because of what Adam Peters has capable. So the answer is yes. Everything's going to be much better, and defenses are going to have to spy where JD5 is at all times. You can't just have and deploy the same defensive schemes against a guy like JD5, and he's such an accurate, quick release quarterback that it's going to be holy hell with an air attack Kingsbury stretching the defense. It's going to be glorious, bro. It's not going to look like anything the same. And I think anybody that tries to extrapolate last year's data with the offensive line to this year, just like when people say that about Breece Hall and the New York Jets, The Jets actually revamped their offensive line tremendously, by the way. But even if they didn't, the presence of Aaron Rodgers alone would have been enough to make that offensive line production go up tremendously. And I don't think people talk about it enough. The indirect relationships, the Jamar Chase improving the offensive line, Jamar Chase helping out Burrow, protecting Burrow more than, or at least equal to, drafting Penei Sewell. And everyone laughing at me over and over. Hugh Jackson calling it, whatever he called it. You say whatever you want. The indirect relationship of all these things has a huge impact. And I don't care what anybody says. That's my view, my take, and pretty much think we smashed it out of the park with the Joe Burrow stuff. Hal, appreciate that super chat golf. Coble, golf, and then one more super chat, and I'll go back around the phone line. MB, $10 hauler gets a moonshot. Thank you
to the moon.
MB for dropping this one. And MB says, what's he saying here? Need dynasty help. Smitty, 12-team superflex, 9, start 9, tight end 1.5. I kind of don't like premiums. I don't know if you guys like premiums. I'm not huge on tight end premiums. Everybody's trying to give the advantage back to the other position, and they keep dancing around the scoring and just screwing up scoring. And then you got tight ends getting drafted so high now. I hate premium tight end leagues, to be honest. Trade Stroud and Nico for Dak and St. Brown.
And then, yes, we put some context underneath about his starters.
One elite player away, in my opinion, are Lamar and CJ, Gibbs, Swift, Monty. Wide receivers are AJ Brown, Nico, London, JSN. This is a tough one because...
Oh, it's a super flex, too.
Yeah, this is a tough one because, I mean, like, we're just... And the thing is, it's really easy to evaluate because it's player for player. It's quarterback and receiver, so it's almost like the other components don't necessarily even matter. The way Dak played last year, the Dak St. Brown side is probably the one you would lean to. You just got to ask yourself, is Dak going to repeat? And is Stroud going to get better? Is Dak going to get worse? Is Dak going to be in his head because he doesn't get extended? Or does he get extended and then now he's gotten paid and he's got the pressure of, oh my God, I got the money now. Now everyone's going to be calling me out if I don't do well. Like, you don't really know. I think it's pretty close. I mean, most people would rather have Stroud than Dak. I can say that with 100% certainty in a dynasty. I would say 99.99999% of the human population would say, give me Stroud in a millisecond over Dak. And the ADP data in any dynasty startups we've done prove that. The question is, St. Brown is significantly higher than Nico. Is it the same difference? Kind of. Dak is really good. Like, Dak he scored as top 5, top 4 quarterback all season last year. So like it's a tough discussion to have because Dak outplayed CJ Stroud last year. And it's just a question of, like, will Stroud be better than him this year? Will he be miles above where he was last year? Or is he going to be kind of like, okay, he doesn't run a lot, so him and Dak together, but look what Dak did without running a ton. So it's so tough. It's so tough. I'd probably say, because I still like Nico, I'd probably say Stroud and Nico. It's really, really tough, though. That's really, really close.
You like Lamar or Stroud better?
Long-term Stroud, because I think Lamar's an injury risk and he always gets hurt. And he's playing at 205 pounds right now. And who knows if he even holds that weight because he's running around, maybe even losing some weight. I probably say...
I was going to say I might try to trade Lamar instead of Stroud. I don't know if he'd do it, but some people really love Lamar. But maybe he's already covered that.
Yeah, that's tough, man. I would say I lean Stroud just because it's super flex. Like, think about it from this perspective. Like, you're in a startup draft, Stroud's going top 4 or 5. And I'm not saying I necessarily like disagree with that or agree with it. I'm just telling you where their value is. And Dak's not going around 1. I mean, he probably goes around 2, probably. But the people that take him there are kind of like, damn it, I got to take Dak. Even though he's still producing, though, So I would say Stroud, and the value's there for Stroud, bro. Like the value's just in a super flex. He's top 4 overall, but like you could flip it if you wanted, and go buy JD5 and maybe a like Achan and JD5 for Stroud, and then you could flip it if you wanted to like do something crazy like that. Your trade value is massively higher with Stroud. That's my final answer. Thank you, MB. Appreciate you dropping that. Let's go over to Ron.
Coble dropped 5 memberships.
Oh, did he? Okay. Memberships. Let me see. Coble dropping monster wads. Coble, thank you for dropping the memberships, pal. Coble to the freaking moon. To Saturn. Ron, did you want to weigh in on the Stroud situation?
No, you know me. I've always been a Stroud. I think he was number 1 last year for me over anybody else. So he proved me right.
But what about this situation though? Does St. Brown make you hesitate? Or I mean, Dak still was fantastic. Or do you predict Dak? Because I mean, there's other pieces to this. Like what do you think about Nico versus St. Brown?
Nico might do a little bit under St. Brown, but I think Stroud's going to make up the difference. Stroud would make up the difference anyway. So
yeah, and how old is Dak? Ziggy, how old is Dak Prescott? How old is he?
Dak Prescott is 30 years old.
Woo!
He was born on July 29th, 1993.
Ziggy off. I didn't realize he was 30 yet. I mean, it makes sense. So yeah, I mean, like Stroud, yeah, you just got it. Especially if you again factor in that trade value of Stroud as a top 4 overall super flex trade piece. Even for that reason alone, you make the move. And St. Brown, I mean, I love him, man. I like him so much more than Nico, but I think I'm with Ron that the difference between in a dynasty, especially being 30 years old for Dak, I thought maybe he's 28 or 9. I mean, it wasn't that much different than I thought, but I don't know. I think it's clear Stroud. Clear Stroud. What is this? I got somebody celebrate 1 month membership. I hate Dak but love St. Brown. Yeah, but in a super flex, you can't value St. Brown the same. You got to look at that quarterback value, bro.
Wait, can I weigh on it real quick?
Sure, Sebastian.
So, with Dak and St. Brown, you can argue like standalone, like they're both really good. But I mean, Dak, he has a troubled wide receiver room, and like I mean, St. Brown, we love St. Brown, love the situation, everything. Like he's already done it for multiple years. But what I could say about the Nico Stroud side is, with how high the consensus is on Stroud, and if you do believe in Stroud, Nico is going to eat. So when you stack the two of them, you have to get like less things right versus. But
no, Sebastian, you're thinking best ball again. Like you only play best ball.
No, I'm talking about if you believe in Stroud, keep his receiver.
Well, I get that, but I wouldn't start using verbiage. That's best ball verbiage. Like you have less things to get wrong or right. Like stacking is good. It can be good. It can be more fun than anything. But in non-best ball, it's not vital. It's not the same. It sometimes can be a detriment. It sometimes can be the downfall. I will say that because that offense is so good, stacking does make a lot of sense. Like Burrow and Chase are always going to be throwing. It's always going to be, you're going to have one game maybe out of the whole season or 2 games where they don't. But it's that is
We're
very
talking about
much
a top 4 quarterback.
I know, but that's very much. I mean, you're also talking about 3 wide receivers. So like for year 1, maybe it's Tank Dell, maybe Diggs is digging in. Like we don't know what Nico's line's going to look like this year, and but I wouldn't say that you're eliminating the risk because you have less things that need to go right. Nico could have 40 yards, bro, and Stroud could have 5 touchdowns. Like that happened last year. There's a rotation of Tank Dell and Nico and Tank Dell, Nico, Tank Dell. So I disagree with it on a non-best ball perspective. Like it's stacking is not something I even consider at all as an advantage in non-best ball. It's just not the same at all. It's nowhere near. I know you play a lot of best ball, and I know that it's easy to like try and flip back and forth the mindset, but I don't think you don't play any non-best ball, right?
I play like 3 home leagues, but I mean, I would just keep them since you already have both of them. And like, if you drafted Stroud that high, you would have had already like believe in him.
I like the stack though; it's fun,
but
it's more fun than anything.
Standalone though, Amon-Ra St. Brown is way better though.
Yeah,
but I wouldn't do Dak and St. Brown. I would just keep the Texans.
Yeah, I agree. At the end of the day, this plus the super flex trade value of Stroud being top 4 overall, top 5 overall guaranteed. You're getting whatever the hell you want for him if you were to trade and get crafty and go get JD. Like, I would trade Stroud in a millisecond for JD5 and like Achane, or JD5 and, a wide receiver equivalent to that I love, because I love JD5 that much.
Stroud and Nico, you can sell it as a stack and get like a JJ and a JD5.
Yeah, but we'll see about that. But Travis Rowe, who would you and Smitty rather have, Lamar or AR5? So Travis, this is also for you. I would rather have AR5 over Lamar in
AR5.
Yeah, in Dynasty, and then in redraft, bro. People might call me crazy, man, but give me AR5 again. I just, this is a guy that gets no respect with his arm. Oh, he's just a running quarterback. He's a gadget guy. He's a one-trick pony. This is a guy that can throw the football as far as anybody in the National Football League, and I think he's still developing. And I don't know, bro. It's gonna be unreal to watch AR5 mature.
Yeah.
Injury risk, sure, but Lamar too.
He followed up and asked about and then who would you rather have, Kyler or AR5? And the reason he asked is because he has Kyler and Lamar right now, but he's thinking about going after AR5 possibly.
Yeah.
So wanted your input on that.
Yeah, it doesn't matter what other pieces you have, like AR5 over Lamar. And Fallon says the guy who won best ball last year at a team that stacked. Of course, we're talking about, again, that's what I was saying. Best ball stacking is important, and non-best ball it's not. In non-best ball, it's almost a detriment sometimes. There are situations where it is good. Like, again, like Sebastian said, you got an offense, or as I alluded to, that's gonna, like an AJ Brown and a Hurts is pretty good. And you could say Nico and Stroud is too. From a dynasty perspective, a little bit more so than now, because now they got 3 wide receivers. There's a real potential that Nico has some inconsistencies. Like, I don't, in non-best ball, Nico and Stroud is not better than an equal player as Nico on a different team that might have more consistency, though, with Stroud. I'd rather Stroud and that other player than stacking. Stacking to me in non-best ball is meaningless. It's just fun. And there's rare situations where you're evaluating who to take, and you go, the stack player is actually better. And I kind of am excited about, like, if Burrow and Chase, I could get them together. Instead of drafting this other quarterback, I'll take Burrow. And I do believe we'll have like 2 games of the whole year where we're disappointed in Burrow. But then again, look at how Burrow started the year, Not that Chase can't do well, Burrow does bad, but it's not always the best way to go. In best ball, of course it's good. But it's also overutilized. So stacking is something that you gotta be careful with in best ball, not to oversaturate your team with that maneuver unless it's naturally effective. And that's why I always say, like, I will, and this is my best example to prove the best mindset to stack is if you have Jalen Hurts and you have the opportunity to cuff him, but you don't, you take somebody else. Let's say instead of Devontae Smith, you take Henry or something. And someone's like, you should have drafted, whatever. Well, later on, or I'm sorry, no, the best example to use is instead of taking AJ Brown, I take MHJ. And someone says, you should have taken AJ Brown. You have a better chance of winning. Well, I also will potentially grab Kyler later, and I have this like understated like secondary stack that also protects me and puts me in a prominent position to have that kind of advantage if Kyler goes off and has that, you know, monster game in MHJ. So I'm not saying I wouldn't necessarily look at A.J. Brown over Marvin Harrison Jr. I'm just merely trying to point out that there's ways to stack later on. You don't have to draft stacking the entire time, and your top guys have to be stacked too. If you draft Hurts, you got to have his number one wide receiver. You could stack in other ways too, like if you were to take Mahomes and then you miss out on you know, Kelsey, like you're getting, you know, Worthy later. And like that's a fantastic stack. It's good to have the stacks, but in non-best ball, it's a lot of the times it's a detriment. And I see so many people get so used to stacking on best ball, they go and maneuver like that in non-best ball, and it's not as advisable. I got to get out of here, guys, so let me circle around the phone line real quick. John, any final thoughts?
I'm drafting Nabers.
I know you are. Be careful, bro. Be careful. Sebastian, final thoughts?
Yeah, I was going to ask about the whole Chase breaking the mold. Do you remember in 2022 where like Garrett Wilson, Drake London, like that draft class? Do you remember where those guys were going?
Garrett Wilson, Drake London. I want to say, like, God, if I remember correctly, not even in the top 5 rounds. It was later.
Garrett Wilson and Christian Watson's rookie year. There was one league, granted, it's kind of a grandma league I used to be in. They didn't go drafted, but the rest of the leagues I was in, they were going pretty late in drafts.
Yeah.
In their rookie year.
Bro, at that point, and it's not even that long ago, it still was very, like, you know, it's different.
2 years ago?
It's not, it's even 2 years ago, it's not, is like, look at MHJ. He's going in round 1. And you never, and Nabers, people want to draft him in round 2. People want to. John would do it, who just hung up. He yelled, Nabers out, mic drop. I'm not saying it won't work, but definitely gotta be careful.
I just don't get why this is like acceptable. Like,
well,
Nabers should be going like round 5, 6, 7, 8.
Well, I guess at a certain point I jump back in, right? If Nabers at a 5th round ADP, I'm fine with that because I think he can have 4 touchdowns, 1,100 yards, 75 catches. And that's good for round 5 maybe. But Marvin Harrison Jr., I know you don't like him at the 12, 13 turn. I'd scoop it up. It's very acceptable to me because the game is evolved. The college game translates so much nicer over to the NFL. It just is what it is. The quarterbacks are better and translating to the NFL. The wide receivers are better. The running backs have always been great at translating straight into the NFL. The tight end position is the one position that we saw Laporta do it, but it's still very much like up and down. And for some reason, rookie tight ends always struggle with injury. It's just like, I don't know what it is about translating, but like even Luke Musgrave, even TJ Hawkinson, so it's tough. I think Ben Sinnott has the best Laporta-looking shot to outproduce everybody, including Bowers. Bowers is still very, very good, like Kincaid was still very, very good. Mayer, I hope Michael Mayer gets traded. Now that Bowers is an LV, I hope Michael Mayer goes to a team that can use him, like the Indianapolis Colts. Trade for Michael Mayer.
If the Raiders had a QB, I'd want him to stay just because I think they can both survive in an offense without a ton of great wide receivers. But without a QB, it's going to be a tall task.
Yeah. All right.
This is I was going to say, the reason why I don't love MHJ is I just feel like he's being drafted at the ceiling for his rookie year, but I definitely do think by year 2 he can definitely be top 5 overall. I just think it's a year early.
Okay, well let's look at a player though. Let's say so what wide receiver? Let's see. Let's go to the draft board real quick. What wide receiver went? He's going as 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We'll just call him wide receiver 8. Okay, or 9. typically, around 8 or 9.
Yeah, 8 or 9. Yeah.
I mean, and that's because wide receivers get drafted heavy, but 8 or 9. And remember, this is best ball. He'll go later in non-best ball because best ball is very wide receiver driven, especially on underdog or any.
He'll probably
place.
go in the 2 to 3 turn.
Right. So he's gonna go. He's gonna go in the mid-second in a non-best ball in your grandma league, because that's where receiver 8-9 would go. But let's call him wide receiver 9. Wide receiver 9 last year, 107 receptions, 1183, and 8 touchdowns. He can easily get that, bro. To me, it's his floor. Wide receiver 8 value is Marvin Harrison Jr.'s floor, not his ceiling. I think we just see very differently on this. I don't hate your take. I just disagree with it. And if we go with a receiver that had less receptions, let's see here. Okay, let's go with Mike Evans, who's wide receiver 7, because that's the only receiver I could find that has a kind of a reverse of the stacking of the categories. He had 79 receptions for 12, 55, and 13 touchdowns. I think Marvin Harrison Jr.'s default 10 to 11 scores. Bill the Tickler, later, pal. Bill to the moon. Bill, I appreciate you. I better see you in Vegas, pal, if you can. I think you can easily get that. I think you can easily get, even if we said it was like 85 receptions to 90, I think, given the targets that are going to be available to him. And let's say you dial down his touchdown 1 or 2 to like 11 instead of 13. So let's say 85, 90 receptions, 1,240 yards, and 11 touchdowns. That's Marvin Harrison Jr.'s floor. I think he's going to have double-digit touchdowns with ease in Arizona in 17 games with a shorter field, which is going to change everything, and no one's talking about it. Like, I don't understand. Like, we don't even know what to project anymore. I don't know what the high touchdown total is going to be for a quarterback. Everyone's just acting like nothing happened. Nothing changed.
What's your split? Like, if you're on the clock, MHJ and Garrett Wilson are there, what's your split on your share?
Probably like 40% Garrett Wilson, 60% MHJ. I wouldn't even call it 50-50 because I love MHJ that much, but I would say maybe 50-50. Maybe 50-50. That's where it is. Like, I don't think St. Brown I'm drafting more than MHJ on average for sure. Like, I don't think I'm ever drafting MHJ over St. Brown ever, because I don't need to. Like, on best ball, I get so many opportunities to take MHJ at 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. In an area that, like, I would never reach for him. I just take St. Brown where I can get him at 7, 8, 9. But like, do I think that St. Brown and MHJ could have similar seasons? Absolutely. But I would never take MHJ there. I don't need to. But splitting Puka, I'd even say is maybe 60-40 MHJ. Like, I would take more Puka for sure. But what? I don't think Puka.
He already broke the rookie record.
Yeah, look, that was last year, and I do love Puka to the point where I just told you 60-40. But Marvin Harrison Jr., to me, if I was in a situation where I had to pick, I wouldn't just pick 100% Puka shares. I'd have to divide it up, and my percentage would be 60% Puka, 40% MHJ. That's where it starts to flip. And then as soon as we get to Garrett Wilson, it starts getting like 50-50. Marvin Harrison Jr., you could say it's still close to 50-50, but it'd probably be like 55-45. And then everything after that, it's not even close. Like, it's Marvin Harrison Jr., like 90%. So definitely say, Puka is where it starts getting, where I start seeing Marvin Harrison Jr. right there. Obviously taking Puka ahead of him on average. Garrett Wilson is where the 50% divide starts, and Drake London is on a little bit of the other side of that. Look, you can't
offense, and even though you've seen Garrett Wilson play for 2 years.
You what?
Even though you've already seen McVay's offense and you've seen Garrett Wilson play for 2 years, you'd still take him in that.
Bro, you gotta. If we're talking Dynasty, it sounds like maybe you're referencing long term or something. You've got McVay. That you don't know what McVay's dealing with quarterback wise 2 years from today. You have no clue what it's going to look like. Stetson Bennett, he's coming in. They say he looks ripped, but he also took a whole year off for mental reasons. They said, we don't even know what it is. We don't even know what happened to him. And we're not sure. I like Stetson Bennett. I liked him a lot coming out of college, but he's been missing MIA for a year. Like, that's not a good sign. So we have no idea long-term what that looks like for 2024. If you're going to say Puka, like, first of all, Puka's getting tons of respect from me. I'm saying 60% 40, and I'm saying he's a first-round lock. But if we're going to talk about rookie receivers breaking records and being absolutely unbelievably crazy good, like, MHJ is in this conversation too. He is the best prospect at wide receiver that's really ever come out of college in my mind, and a lot of people would agree with that, or at least say in the last decade, whatever. So we're gonna be able
he is
to
the best prospect of all time.
So I don't know how we don't put him in the same conversation of what you're saying, just preemptively, like, oh, Puka broke all these well, MHJ might break some records too, bro. You never know. I don't think he does exactly what Puka did. Puka was shoved into a great spot and had the talent and had the tenacity too, and he still does. But a year from today, it'll be close. All right, Sebastian.
What I'm saying about Puka, though, is after they do all that, they're primed to be even better in year 2.
Well, not necessarily. There's sophomore slumps all the time, bro. That happens a lot. Plus, if Stafford went down, who's got a history of injuries, broken back, shoulders, all kinds of, does he retire, does he not? I mean, Stafford is like a concern. I'm not saying I'm going to predict injury or expect injury or prepare for injury, but Stafford is definitely a risk. And Kyler tore his ACL. There's risk there, but he played healthy last year. There's risk with any quarterback going down, but I would say Stafford being older and having like so many lingering injuries and like he playing with that, playing with all the injuries he's played with before, where they literally had to pick him up and drag him down the field. Stafford, multiple different injuries that he's done that. His body, Stafford's body is nowhere near as healthy as it should be for his age. Stafford's probably 5 to 10 years older than he should be. And like that. Do you remember the footage of them having to pick him up and they're like, I can go back in the game. And they're like, you shouldn't go back in the game. He's like, I can throw another pass. And they put him back in there. You throw the pass, he get hit, and he'd be on the ground, and teammates would have to pick him up and carry him down the field again. Stafford's body's been freaking...
He got beat up in Detroit, too.
I mean, he is the most beat-up quarterback probably in the National Football League. So there's a lot of concern that, so there's a lot of factors. But to suggest that Puka, that Marvin Harrison Jr. can't do what Puka did, at least on some like level that's balanced differently. I don't know that he breaks all these same records, but maybe he has the touchdown. No, he's not going to break it from Randy Moss, but maybe. You never know. You never know. What was the touchdown record? Was it 2017? What was it? Randy Moss's touchdown record. NFL.
Like 16 or 17.
17.
21 or something like that.
Rookie
Rookie
NFL touchdown record. I think it was 17. It was Randy Moss.
I think so.
Rookie NFL receiving record. Randy Moss 17. Boom! Nailed it. He could break it. He could break it. I'm not saying he will. I'm just saying Marvin Harrison Jr. breaking 17. It could be possible. It could be possible. All right, Sebastian, gotta let you go, bro. All right, we'll see you on the Patreon later. Ron Navy and Rock Out and Travis. Any final thoughts from any one of you guys? If I go around the ring, around the rosy, we're gonna take forever to get off. So just anybody has something they want to say real quick, spit it out.
I think a quick
Let's go Travis first because he started talking first, then Ron. Go ahead, Travis.
I just have a quick one. With Derrick Henry, like last year, there was definitely wear and tear, and he started not breaking down, but you could see he was tired.
Yeah, he was.
Like with a lack of, I mean, I know what's his name, like Rasheen Ali or whatever his name is, and Keaton Mitchell could come back, but with a lack of another like true, like good running back there, did we see something like that, or do you think they are able to manage it? That's the only hesitation I have with them. I like them a lot. I think 15 touchdowns could happen because of the way they're going to use them. But
I'll
once in a while it pops up in my head.
I'll say it like this. I'll say it like this, and I've kind of been this way about Henry the last couple of years, so I want to explain myself. So if we're looking at round 1, 2, 3, 4, if Henry has proven me wrong, any doubter wrong, you could not use him as an example or a gateway for a new RB to thrive at 30, 29. 28 is truly and will probably remain the year of drop-off for RBs. It doesn't improve. It's only going to get worse or stay the same, because it used to be 30 years old for an RB was their final potential elite year. You had to hold your breath, plug your nose, and hope that they could excel and explode. As long as they didn't turn 31, they were 30 when the season began. They had a shot. That was back in the Priest Holmes days, the Marshall Faulk days. And there's so much data behind it. It's not like some, weird theory. There's also that 76 carry rule, that if you have 376 carries or more, you break the next year and you're never the same, and you break down and you're never going to be the same running back ever again. If you have 300, there's all kinds of data that it's really, really undeniable data. And so that 30 years old is dropped to 29, 28. The reasons for it, in my opinion, and my opinion's been, I believe, at least confirmed by players, and one of which was Eric Davis, former 49er defensive back, came on the Instagram live that we were talking about Niner stuff. And I asked him that specific question. I said, here's my theory, and you tell me what you think or what your theory is. Why are RBs breaking down at 28 instead of 30 now? I think it's because the league hits harder, the league's stronger, the league's faster. The players coming out of college have more, wear and tear on their bodies, because the, Pop Warner's hitting harder, high school is hitting harder, college is hitting harder. The game's evolving. Players are starting to play at a younger age. And so the running back position is the most brutal to the knees, and the knees are what are responsible for the quick, hitting the hole. Once you can't hit the hole, you're done. Derrick Henry couldn't hit the hole for the first handful of years in the NFL. He couldn't beat out Deion Lewis. Derrick Henry was trash the first couple of years in the season. He couldn't use his body to do anything. He couldn't beat out Deion Lewis. He couldn't beat out DeMarco Murray. And I remember one of my very first videos, I played it on the show before, was don't cut Derrick Henry. I think he could be an absolute steal and win a league player. And I put it up on Reddit. It was one of my first videos that I did on my channel when I started my YouTube channel. It got trashed to pieces. Derrick Henry's trash. He's slow. He's just a big body. And he ended up figuring it out. He ended up figuring out the quick release, or the quick feet, the hitting the hole. Once you lose that as an RB, you're done. Doesn't matter how strong you are. Doesn't matter how big you are. So losing that step, and that has to do with a lot of the explosion in your knees. So what I said to Eric Davis was, I think that your knees are just worn out so much more by the time you hit the pros than it used to be. This age of breakdown is 28 for the body at the running back position. And he basically said the same thing. And he's an old school. Eric Davis is from the old school. That guy is not somebody that didn't play elite football back in the olden days. And he's telling you that the NFL is harder hitting. He's telling you that the players are stronger, faster, bigger. And he's talking about his old playing days. So you'd think he would defend it. He's not. He's being very honest with that. So long story short, Derrick Henry's going, if he was going where he kind of almost deserves to go based on our expectation, which is top of round 2, I would be out because of the risk of trying to gamble on one more year of Henry staying healthy. The fact that Henry's going in, good God. Now, our draft tonight, I don't know if he went a little earlier because we're sniping, went in the second round. And this is weekly.
31.9 is
this is
ADP.
Weekly. Yeah, 31. What's his average? What's his ADP now?
31.9.
Okay, in normal drafts, this is weekly, so he could play 4 games, get hurt, and you can win $20K just in week 1. So that's why in weeklies he's got a second round ADP. But 31, that's middle of the third round. Middle of the third round to me is it accounts for the risk, because even if he misses 4 games or something, you're plugging another player in there for 4 games. And if you say something like, okay, I get Zamir White later, he's a steal, or you get Zach Moss, or you get somebody like that, and you're going to throw that person in the lineup for 4 games, and then you're going to get Derrick Henry for the rest. At the end of the day, you're going to have a top, 5 running back. So like Henry here with one of these complementary players to substitute in, like that makes this very, very doable. So in a nutshell, I'm worried about it, but his ADP packages in the risk. If Henry does climb into a consistent round 2 selection, I might take a shot on it in best ball, but I'll tell you right now, I would never spend one of my 3 teams if I do 3 buddy leagues and there's not an opportunity to draft just hundreds of best ball teams. I would not waste a single pick on him in the second round in any of those 3 leagues, the non-best ball leagues. I think he's great in weeklies. This is a weekly draft that we just did here because, again, you could have your entire team suspended for weeks 2 through 17, and you could win 20K in week 1. You could have your entire team go missing in an alien abduction from weeks 1 through 15, and you have a shot on week 16 and week 17 to individually each week win 20K. No week is tied to the other week. So Henry's very valuable. Of course, you want a player that's going to play 17 games, so you have 17 chances of 20K because every week's independent. But you could strategically draft a bunch of old dogs like Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry, players that Devontae Adams, Diggs, and try and have your team win 20K in the first couple weeks of the season because you're getting steals in those players because they're older. So there's strategy all over the place on the weeklies. The weeklies are untapped. We have 1 year of data. That data doesn't even tell a story because we don't have any sort of repetition with it. Not to mention, I'm not even a big data guy. I'm a big data guy in general, but with best ball, just because there's so many other factors involved. I use the data. I think I do a good job of kicking that data out to you guys too. Like the data of drafting 3 quarterbacks, drafting 3 tight ends. You should have 4 or 5 running backs. You should not have 3 running backs. You should have probably 5 running backs. You should probably have no less than 3 quarterbacks. That data, on average, people with those builds have further advanced, into the finals, into a top 10 spot even more than anybody else. So there's that data, and I provide that. I think I definitely know, what data to give you guys and whatnot. But what I do feel like people do is they use last year when the values are different. The quarterback depth is different. The wide receiver depth is different. The running back depth is different. The tight end depth is different. Everything's different. So you can't just translate everything over and say, well, if you draft all wide receivers, if you draft 3 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds, you're more likely to win because last year that worked. Well, what about how good this rookie wide receiver, group is this year? You might be able to do way more damage grabbing the running backs early and taking a chance on these guys that weren't producing as good as they will this year.
Right.
Deeper in the, so it's like, that's why I don't like to just say, oh, last year's winner, or even across different contests, last year's winner drafted 3 wide receivers in the top 6 picks and they won.
Well,
I don't think you can translate it. There's too many moving parts and differences from one year to the next, which is why ultimately I think you should stay within the region of the player amounts of running backs and wide receivers and quarterbacks and tight ends, because I do think that what that data tells you, it's a universal data, that if you have the rotation amount of quarterbacks in 3, you can subsidize the bye weeks and injuries. And the fact that on average, Mahomes or even Hurts or Josh Allen can be outscored by one of those other quarterbacks, and you just have the flexibility there and the depth to withstand. All that data I think can be transcendent from one year to the next. But I think when you start talking about practice of what position to draft, that's when I come in and I say, I wouldn't look at that. I think you should draft the best player available, because you might hit on Leggett, you might hit on Ricky Pearsall, you might hit on those wide receivers that you believe in, that carry the same kind of value that you're getting by going wide receiver early on. And if you believe in that data and you believe in the breakouts and you feel like the position is different this year from last year, drafting against traffic and doing something different than what everybody else is doing. If everybody's going wide receiver, what does that tell you? The running backs are probably a value more so than they should be, right? If everybody's saturating the wide receiver start, then you're getting steals like Kyron. You're getting steals like Gibbs and Breece Hall and Bijan, and you can stack two of those guys. And then if you believe that there are hidden gems in the wide receiver pool different from last year, or you're the guy that would have, if you had the right running backs last year, pinpointed those exact wide receivers, then nobody could tell you. Not to mention, it's all averages, right? So the odds of advancing, going wide receiver, or the odds of having 3 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds, the odds are maybe, let's just say, better that you're going to advance according to this person's data. But there still were teams that didn't do that still advanced, just less of them. So to make your decision, hold on one second. To make your decision off of the fact that there were less amount is saying that you don't believe that the smaller population, or the let's say it's 20% advance versus 40% or something to the top 10 or whatever. 20% of the top 10 had not having those early wide receiver drafts, and let's say 4 or 6 out of the 10 did. There's still 2 to 3 teams that made it in, ones that had a chance to win that went the other direction. It's like, it's not everything has to be what it was last year, and that's kind of what I like to do with my best ball content, because I think no one does it like that. And I truly believe, and it's not like I didn't have good success last year. I had several teams in the finals. I had one that danced in the top 10, and then Christian McCaffrey, I really think I would have had a top 5 finish. Christian McCaffrey and Kamara didn't finish the game, and they went out in like the first half. I think they didn't even play the third quarter, and I just got screwed on that. And at that point, too, when you're that deep into a draft, the amount of teams that are different, it's not like in weeklies, there's times where I was like at 14. I was in 14th place one time in the weeklies during the week, and one player scored a touchdown. Not even a huge player. It was like a mid-range player, and I dropped to like 500. And then another player scored a touchdown. I went to like 2,000. That's weeklies when you're literally, there's so many teams that are the same that one player scoring changes everything. When you get into the finals and it gets narrowed down to hundreds, then all of a sudden you have like Christian Watson catch a 80-yard touchdown, and you're like, oh my God, I'm in 14th place right now. I'm probably going to drop to like 200. You look and you don't even move. You don't even move one spot. Once you get it narrowed down that small, all the teams are, there's a lot less overlap. And so the whole point just being that I don't know, that the having, to say that, oh, if you don't have this build, you won't do this or whatever. I think that the data needs to be looked at. The data needs to be absorbed. I think you need to translate some of it over from one year to the next. But best player available is, I think, still your friend and protects you in any situation, best ball, non-best ball, because you might be going against traffic. I guarantee you, I predicted this for over a year now, that there will soon be, it'll be trendy to go against what people are doing. There will be data to support that if you're going against traffic, somehow, some way, someone's going to come up with some way to look at it, and that's fine because it'll be true, that if you draft against the traffic and you hit on a couple of your late guys, you actually have a better percentage with this weird variance of looking at it to have the better chance of breaking into the top 10. And yeah, you might be one or two that's showing up in there, because you're one or two teams in the top 10 of a certain, let's say, Best Ball Mania. One or two teams did go running back or something, or running back, Hurts, quarterback. But that person had a greater shot than anybody to get in because they had like a very small path to get in. All they had to do was nail their picks, and they would be one of the very few to grab one of those two spots. Like, it's just, it's, I think people get too focused on the data. What's up, Chris from Vegas?
And last thing I'll say, and I'll jump off because I know we got to go, is just in relation to that. I forget what the exact stat even was, but there's something I was reading, and they were saying, well, last year 40% had this much of such and such position by this round, and it's like, well, okay, that might have worked, but what if that other 60% followed that same formula? You don't know what that other 60% would have done. 40% of that remaining 60% could have sucked, you know.
And not to mention,
there's big holes in the data still.
And not to mention the most important point of it all, as people start consuming more best ball content, they're all going to hear the same thing. And this is where I say my prediction is going to come true a year or two from today, that everyone's going to rush in and do the same thing, and it's going to be a wide open lane to do the opposite. Somebody's going to say, I'm going to step in and go running back here, running back, quarterback, do our tripod. And because everyone's oversaturating the wide receiver market, if the person lands their wide receivers, they have such a distinct advantage at the rest of their build. I'm telling you that when too many people do the same thing, there's no more advantage. If 9 people out of the 12 or 10 out of the 12 are doing the same thing, there's no more advantage. The reason going wide receiver, or 3 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds was important is because everyone wasn't doing it. Now that everybody's consuming best ball data and content, they hear over and over regurgitation, go 3 wide receivers in the first 5 rounds. Everyone's going to do it, and the advantage is gone. It's gone.
Yeah, they'll 2 years from now, there'll be 100 videos on like either against the grain or outlier strategy.
Right. I promise. I promise you, going against traffic or against the grain will be one of the most popular topics in a year, maybe a year from today.
Huge. Yeah.
And I'm telling you, the one thing I've done in this industry, or the one thing I could say with this industry with a certainty, is everything's a cycle. Everything changes. There's constant cycle. And that involves going wide receiver, going running back, going wide receiver, going quarterback early, not going quarterback early. I can promise you this. Being in this industry for 20 plus years professionally, I've seen the cycle happen many times. Ron's falling asleep. All right, Ron, later.
Later, Ron.
Ron's passing out. It's going to be a cycle. All right, Rock Out and Travis, I got to go. Rock Out, you got anything real quick?
Yeah, thanks, Smitty.
All right, later, Travis.
Later, Rock Out. Bye.
I tried to hang up like an hour ago.
What?
Yeah, Rock Out, final thoughts.
Yeah, what late tight ends do you like the later rounds?
Ben Sinnott, do it live.
Later than him.
Luke Musgrave and Kraft together. Later than that, Ben Sinnott's 158 overall. He's tight end number 18. That's pretty late. Kate Otten, 17.
Early, though.
Isaiah Likely, 183. He's tight end 23. Later than that, Jonnu Smith's okay. Kraft is okay. Michael Mayer's interesting.
Yeah.
Jelani Woods I've always liked, but it's just, you can't. I don't know. We'll see. I kind of like him.
Yeah.
Sanders, the rookie in Carolina, he's kind of interesting. He's going at like 210. There you go.
I appreciate it.
Hey, Rock Out, Mars Man Extraordinaire. Appreciate you, my guy.
All right, see you.
Guys, if you have not signed up for my Patreon, it's basically it's where the community is before the shows. It's where the community is after the shows. And what I mean by that is for $10 a month, that's it. I made it a very, very reasonable price. It is going to be where the fantasy football show congregates on the daily, 365, 24/7. The hardcore people will be there. Like right now, people will be in there talking trade. We've got 10 different live chats going, 365, 24/7. You ask a question, there's somebody there to help you, especially as we gain more people. There'll be a quicker response by just the general masses. And because it's $10 a month, it filters out a lot of the garbage because, people don't want to pay for that unless they want quality. And honestly, I wouldn't even make part. I have the ability to maybe make part of it free. I don't want to do that because of what, not just got it from a greedy perspective, but because this keeps it serious. It keeps people that are interested in it, and it keeps a lot of the trolls out, because no one's going to spend $10 a month to troll. That's, not to mention would they be removed anyway, because we're going to keep a positive environment. But it is content that I write on the near daily, or I'll do 2 things in one day, or private video for just the Patreon. So there's content and there's 10 live chats. During the games, we'll be in there it's called the Game Day Lounge chat, where we're just going to be sitting in there going, what do we need? What do we do? Just having conversations, start bench advice, everything inside there. It's 10 live chats, 365, 24/7. And because it's a pillar of the channel, it's a part of the it's not just something like a free Discord. It's something that I'm promoting, something I'm living in. I'm living in the Patreon chat constantly. It's so much better than the Discord. So here's the link to it if anybody wants to become a member. While we were live, we had BMT join the Patreon. Appreciate you, my guy. We've had like 2 or 3 people join over the last like 10 or 2 hours, 3 hours. So we're growing stronger on it every day. Every time we get somebody added, it's just another soldier to help anybody that's asking questions. And that's the whole goal of it, is like, I want everybody to be a help and assist of whatever anybody needs in there, so that it's not just me and they're answering questions, or just Travis or anybody. Blackbeard and Travis are the moderators in there. There's me and those 2 gentlemen, and it's just trying to help people. Just a great way to ask questions. Not only that, we're going to potentially do some leagues in there. So the first like 100 or 200 to join probably get in a league, or maybe first 40 to 100, I'll say. I'm not positive yet, so don't quote me on that. But the first 40 to 100 roughly, we'll do some sort of leagues for. And we're about at that. We're definitely over that 40 mark. And it's been up for like less than 3 days. So we've got people jumping over, and soon it'll be in the hundreds. It'll be in the thousands. Hopefully over 1,000 people over there within a calendar year. And that is a ton of people talking fantasy 365, 24/7. There's nothing like it. It's not like Instagram where there's a bunch of random people and a bunch of random comments. Hard to find anything. It's focused content. This is aside from my thefantasyfootballshow.com, which you can still get. That's totally a different product. This is rankings, trade calculators, articles, bold predictions. This is content I've been doing for over 20 plus years. This is still a staple and pillar of my channel, but the Patreon is just a little bit different because it's a live chat community, and it's an extension of the show, so to speak. So get on over. Here's the link one more time. And I'm trying to shout everybody out that joins the Patreon. So anytime I see one come through a purchase, I try and tell, hey, thanks for joining. And then also I wanted to give my Moon Man and Mars Man some props. These are my Moon Men and Mars Men. Jack of all trades won the Mars Man League in 2023. The Chopper, Salty Chopper, won the Moon Man. Salty will be advancing. We'll do a ceremony in the live drafts for both of these. We'll do the ceremony during the draft. Chopper's going to jump up and take TMT's spot. TMT gets knocked down to the Moon Man list because he got last place. I will admit I got second to last, and my team was fire. I just got hit with injury. I'm not going to make excuses. My team fell apart. But I still look at my team and I'm like, it's a great team. AR5 went down. Eckler busted. Kelsey had a horrible year. I had such a good team. And just looking at it, Achan, like my team was unbelievable. I couldn't score points for anything. I'd have one thing after the other go wrong. And I was lucky not to get the last place team. TMT ended up getting last. And so he fell out into the Moon Man. You never drop out of the Moon Man. You can't get these spots. I guarantee you somebody in the next 5 years will just vanish from the channel. So we'll have to replace somebody at some point, and we'll make a big old thing about it. But right now, this is the exclusive Mars Man and Moon Man cards that we sold. We're never going to sell them again. And it got you into this league. It got you access to the phone line where you could interrupt anybody and break into the phone line at any moment, except for the monologue. So we're potentially going to maybe make some Saturn cards, but that will be it. If I do ever do cards again, I don't even know if I want to do that because I want to make sure these guys feel like they got something special that no one will ever get, and they did. So I don't even know if I'm going to do the Saturn cards, to be honest with you. I'd have to have a conversation with these guys. But thank you to all my Moon Men and Mars Men. You guys are absolute legends. Appreciate you all. Subscribe if you're new. We hit 25K 25K today on the channel. Thank you guys. Couldn't. This is an old screenshot. We're above this now, but this is when it happened. I took a screenshot of it. 25K, and appreciate you all. Live Monday through Friday, 8 p.m. Eastern, every single Monday through Friday. Live when big news breaks. See you all tomorrow. Max, appreciate your $5 hauler, my guy. Max to the moon. Did Max drop another question, or he just drop a super chat? Max to the moon. Max, you still here? Swanson? Samsonite? Max, you still here? Appreciate you, bro. Thank you, Blackbeard. Thank you, Sick Nasty. Thank you, Travis Rowe. Thank you, all my moderators. Appreciate you. Later, Chris from Vegas. Thanks, pal. Golf. Appreciate golf. Ray G in the building. Superfish. Appreciate you. I'll see you all on Patreon. Sick Nasty just became a Patreon member. Attaboy, Sick Nasty. There's the link right there if anybody wants to become a part. Sick Nasty in the building. I'm gonna say hi to him in the chat right now. Sick Nasty, welcome. Boom. What's up, Hoosiers? Hoosiers in the live chat. Travis is in the live chat. Sick Nasty, welcome. I just sent you a message in the general chat, bro. So glad to have you on board the Patreon. You're gonna love it, bro. It's so active over there. I'll see you all over there. Peace out.